look at how, oh, I love it. Full house.
All right, well, I don't know. We'll talk about it later, afterwards. See how much you love it. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Yuma County Board of Supervisors regular meeting. This is the a regular session and an executive session for the Yuma County Board of Supervisors. We'll be sitting as all special taxing districts, and this is the February the 7th, 2022, 9 a.m. This is the call to order. We'll move on to regular session items, and first thing we'll have is the Pledge of Allegiance, and Supervisor Lyons will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Supervisor Lyons.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Yeah, almost. It's almost the seventh inning here. Um, the first item is called to the public, and called to the public is held for the benefit of the public to allow individuals to address issues within the board's jurisdiction. Board members may not discuss items that are not in the agenda, that are not specifically identified on the agenda. Therefore, pursuant to Arizona revised statutes, action taken as a result of public comment it will be limited to directing staff to study the matter, responding to criticism, or scheduling the matter for further discussion and a decision at a future date. Public comments may be made in person or submitted by email at publiccomment@yumacountyaz.gov. The email forms of public comment will be accepted until 8 a.m. the morning of the meeting. All public comments will be read aloud during the Yuma County Board of Supervisors meeting that starts at 9. And let me just remind everyone, if you're here for a specific item that's in the agenda, call to the public isn't for that. It is, and if you're here for that bike pathway or something, I'll move that up in the agenda so you guys will have a chance to speak right away. Okay, so call to the public again for something that isn't in the agenda. Uh, Susan, I think you asked to address the board.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board, Susan Thorpe, County Administrator. It's my pleasure this morning to assist the board in recognizing Michael Breeze, our public defender, who is retiring after 16 years of dedicated service to Yuma County. So we do have a few tokens of our appreciation for Michael. As of December 30th, he had achieved his 15 years of service. So we have his 15-year certificate as well as his 15-year pin.
You know, you made a mistake. You should have given him a lifetime pass to the theater. That would have been
He's a
lot
theater
better.
buff, huh?
I think I see him more there than anywhere else.
I have purchased a theater cup, so.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean.
We
that
also
one's,
have-
they're not gonna allow you to fill that one.
Oh, I like those.
Because Michael does go outdoors quite a bit and has a lot of adventures, we've got a Yuma County Yeti mug for him to take with him.
Oh, cool.
All right, Michael, do you want to say a few words?
Yeah, briefly, thank you. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen of the board, it's not without a lot of regret that I'm leaving the service of Yuma County. Not leaving Yuma County itself, but I'd just like to recognize that I've really appreciated the people of Yuma and the fellow workers that I've had here. And I could have retired a year ago, and I just kept putting it off. And I know my staff, they were getting a little crazy about it. They need some finality, but I just loved the job. I love working with everybody, and I hope that my service is appreciated. And I know that I've gone through several boards over the years, and appreciate every one of the supervisors that I've been able to work with. It's been wonderful. And yes, I am committed to watching movies at the theater. I know I see Chairman Reyes there all the time, and most recently last week, and hope to see him there in the future. It's funny, when we were picking a jury in a trial I did last year, several workers from Harkins would pop up on a jury and recognize my service to Harkins also. But it is with a lot of nostalgia, a lot of appreciation, and a lot of love for Yuma, people of Yuma, and for the county of Yuma and the people that serve the county and my fellow workers that I take my leave now. And I'm just saying, I'm gone for now, but I don't think forever. So, thank you.
Certainly hope not. And I know that we appreciate your service, but the people you serve directly probably do more than we do. I mean, you're the public defender, so.
I think that we've offered and continue to offer outstanding service. In fact, there was a private attorney that handled appeals cases, and he told me on more than one occasion, he'd read a transcript where the defendant said, hey, don't give me a street lawyer, I want a public defender. And that's one of the best recognitions I think we've had, that kind of appreciation from our clients. So yes, that's where we're dedicated to the service of our clients.
You know, I think the biggest compliment you can make someone is that he lives the place better than he got it. And I know you live the place better than you got it. So we appreciate your work and your service throughout the years. And I hope I continue to see you in one way or another, as long as it's not in court. You'll be fine.
Sometimes in court, it's not bad.
Well, let's just put it that way. If it's not under your services, it would be fine under the Public Defender Services. Thank you very much, Michael. We appreciate all the work you've done over the years. Any board member like to say anything? We can get a picture. You'll charge for that later. You know, we ought to get him before he leaves to give one of those testimonies of why he likes working for you. You're not forced to.
No, I'm still available for that.
I was gonna say, this is the shortest speech I've heard in a while.
When an attorney says he's gonna be brief, he gets nervous.
I don't know, the feeling of having
Hold on, I'm gonna get one.
next to me, close to my wallet is not a big deal.
You haven't learned by now.
I'm holding on to it.
When he has your back, that's when you worry.
Yeah, that's
I know, huh?
No, it's not white enough shoes. All right, I do have one of these forms that says simply call to the public. Marty Hoganson, are you here for the biking thing?
Yes.
Okay, then I put bike path in. All right, is anyone here in the public that would like to address the board that isn't in an item that isn't in the agenda? And I'll keep the open to the public open throughout the process, so you get a chance to say something on one of those times, in case you get in late or you decide later on that you want to say something. That takes care of, at this time anyway, of the call to the public section, and we'll move on to presentations. We don't have too many of them. Are there any appointments to be made by the board members at
Mr.
all?
Chairman, I have one appointment. Ronald Van Wy to the Planning and Zoning Commission.
I did make my appointment already of my member of the Planning and Zoning Commission, right, Desiree? Mr. Black? I think Maggie's back there. Do you remember Maggie? If not, Mr. Black's term was expiring either. Did I make that appointment already? No? Then I'm going to make the appointment of Mr. Gary Black to continue being a member of the Planning and Zoning Commission.
I've got it down to 2 people, so
All
I'll be on the next meeting.
I'll be careful if I was any of those 2 people. She will be in touch with you. Okay, then so that after those appointments, and I'll clear that out, there are some items that require board appointment, and there are some items that are only required that we announce the appointment in public, like we do it in one of these meetings. This is one of those situations where all we need to do is just basically call out the name of the person we want to appoint to this commission, and it gets done. The item that I have here is a presentation of the county line. It's by Yuma 77, the Yuma County Government Channel.
A hill of rubble has immensely decreased in size at our North Gila transfer site. Interested in becoming a poll worker for the upcoming elections? We'll tell you how. And our county treasurer will soon be holding their tax lien auction. These stories and more, this is your County Line. Our Public Works Division has teamed up with DPE Construction to crush up the concrete, brick, and rubble that had piled up at the North Gila transfer site. Public Works crews have tried many different processes over the years to get rid of the pile of rubble growing at the transfer site. The collaboration has DPE providing the equipment.
We have a pile of rubble that's been here for over 10 years. And so with DPE as a partner, they were able to actually take this pile of rubble, create it for their own products, and then at the same time, we take care of cleaning up our community because it looks, if you can see, it looks much neater now than it did maybe even a couple of months ago.
An impact crusher is used to crush material such as concrete, rock, block, and rubbled asphalt. The final product is then hauled off-site. With the help of DPE, Public Works has been able to clear space at the site at a much faster pace than previous efforts. For information on materials accepted at our transfer sites, visit our website at yumacountyaz.gov. Yuma County will hold 2 elections in 2022, and Yuma County Election Services is looking for poll workers for vote centers across the county. January 25th was National Poll Worker Recruitment Day. The goal of this day is to encourage potential poll workers to sign up to help America vote. Poll workers are critical to an election success. Having an adequate number of poll workers on hand to staff polling places on Election Day can help ensure voters receive the assistance they require at the polls and contribute to a positive and smooth voting experience for all.
Election workers are a really important part of election administration in Yuma County because they're the face of Yuma County elections on Election Day. They're the ones that are helping voters in the vote centers and making sure that the election runs smoothly for voters and Yuma County on Election Day.
Poll workers must be registered voters in Arizona and Yuma County residents. To become a poll worker, you must first complete training. For more information, contact Election Services at 928-373-1014 or go to yumacountyaz.gov/voter and election services. Paying our property taxes is just one of the many ways we contribute to our community. But what if we don't pay those taxes? In short, this is what happens. After extensive efforts to work with the delinquent property owners, the county may have to sell the lien to an investor. The new lien holder then pays the owed taxes.
What they do is they come in and we call them investors, and they pay for the taxes for that person and for the homeowner. The homeowner now has 3 years to come in and pay us the amount, and we in turn pay the investor with their interest.
The Yuma County Treasurer will hold their tax lien auction on February 16th for investors that may be interested. You can learn more by visiting the Treasurer's web pages at yumacountyaz.gov.
Hi, I'm Mary, and this is your Health Watch. February is American Heart Month, and this is a great time to take action in protecting your health. Adopting heart-healthy behaviors can start now. Know your risk factors. High blood pressure and high cholesterol are both risk factors for heart disease. If either of these numbers is high, work with your doctor to bring it down to a healthy level. Other risk factors include smoking, being overweight, having prediabetes or diabetes, a lack of physical activity, a poor diet, stress, and a family history of heart disease. What can you do? Eat healthier, get enough sleep, and quit smoking. Work towards increasing your activity level by reducing how long you sit at a given time. Use Heart Health Month to reset your self-care routine. Preventive measures can help you reduce your risk of developing heart disease while also improving your overall health and well-being. Thanks for joining us for this Health Watch. Until next time, stay healthy, Yuma.
Before we head out, there are some important dates coming up that you might want to know about. The main library will host a NASA open house for all ages on Saturday, February 12th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Check out the coolest space-themed contraptions and resources at the library. There's something for the whole family to enjoy, and attendance is free. A reminder to our viewers that the next regular session of the Yuma County Board of Supervisors will be held on Wednesday, February 23rd. That's because Monday the 21st is President's Day, and offices will be closed in observance. Thank you for joining us for this County Line. We'd like to know of any story ideas you may have, so let us know. And if you're looking for stories we've covered in Log on to our website at yumacountyaz.gov/VOD. We'll see you on the next county line.
Well, thanks. Thank you, Kevin. And before we leave the area of presentations and the open to the public area, I think Supervisor Pancrase wanted to acknowledge something about the rodeo.
Oh, yeah, Darren,
so
come
hold
on, you do it too. We don't, there we go.
I don't have a cowboy hat, Mr. Chairman.
You
I
should have
know.
told me I had plenty. I forgot. to
Okay,
bring
I
it.
just wanted to encourage everyone to please attend Silver Spur Rodeo. It is the weekend of the 12th, and it is a great entertainment. And it's really entertaining if you sit on this side of it, where you get to watch the cowboys go into the chutes, and then you have the bulls behind you. And oh, it's very entertaining, and it's really fun to watch. So if you guys, if any of you are interested, or everybody out there, make sure that you try to attend the rodeo. Thank you.
Thank you. Muchas gracias.
Uh-huh.
We'll move on.
Dar-
And I would've-
Darren,
should've
do you
brought
want
one
to
if
say
I'd known.
anything?
No, just it's a fun time, and go out and enjoy it. It's
Especially
Friday,
the human.
Saturday, and Sunday.
Especially the human is a long withstanding tradition. I mean, it's been a while. I mean, and after the years we've gone through the last 2 years, it's been a little difficult to hold it in public. So this was part of
JC
trying to get back into a more regular, normal type
JCs
situation.
do a really good job with it.
The JCs do. They do a great
Work hard to make it happen. So go out and support them, and support all the rodeo.
And there are hats at Boot Barn. It's just a free spot that I give them there. So anyway, we'll move on. Thank you very much for the update on that, and we're going to try to move it fast so you guys get a chance to get onto your item and get on with your busy lives. Kind of tough to give up some sort of Monday morning thing. So we will move on to the consent calendar. And then the following items are listed under the consent agenda and will be considered as a group and acted upon by one motion with no separate discussion unless a board member so requests. In that event, the item will be removed from the consent calendar for separate discussion and action. We have my items 1 through, I think it was 13?
Yep.
1 through 13. I'd like to pull a couple, 6 and 8, for specific reasons. I'll mention them a little later. If anybody else wants another one pulled, let me know right now.
Let's pull, since we have our presiding judge here, let's pull number 13.
Mm-hmm.
So he has an opportunity to talk about it.
Yeah.
A lucky number, huh? Number 13. Okay, all right, well,
Make him come down here without doing
make a motion, yeah. So, again, I need a motion to approve
I'll make
consent calendars 1 through
Motion that we
13,
approve.
with the exception of 6, 8, and 13.
Yes.
Second.
There's been a motion, a second, to approve those items as presented. All those in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries, and we'll go to county administration with item number 6, which is action to distribute $7,042.88 in community funding from the Quechan Tribe, Indian Tribe, Fort Yuma, to the Crossroads Mission and Yuma Community Food Bank in equal amounts of $3,521.44. And I just didn't want the moment to go unacknowledged. I mean, the tribe, twice or 3 times a year, they distribute funds, and they give us the honor of being the ones to choose who those funds go to. And normally we choose something in the community. They make sure that we choose something, or they want to make sure that we choose something, some organization that's deserved in the community. And given the food insecurity that it's pretty much prevalent here at this time of the year, we thought that the Crossroads Mission and the Yuma Community Food Bank would be worthy recipients of these funds. And we just wanted to thank the Quechan Tribe on behalf of these 2 organizations, because I'm sure they could use the money. Is there anyone here from those
Yes.
organizations?
Yes, there is from the mission. Crossroads Mission is here.
Well, okay, so if you want to say a few words, I mean,
Yes.
definitely, we would appreciate it. Yes, come up. I know it's a little difficult, but, and I want to thank those people who are wearing a mask. I mean, at least you're trying to stay safe, and then that's very good. It's a little bit compact here.
Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you so much for the money, and of course, we can use it. We are working diligently to get a new men's shelter built, which will also help the county. And it's slow going. We've had huge bouts with COVID, although we have strict protocols, but I think it's affected everybody, so we're no different. And I want to thank the tribe for the money and thank the Board of Supervisors for choosing us. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. And this is about a drop of what you actually need. We know that those organizations are always stretched very thin. So we certainly appreciate the situation you're in, and we'll do as much as we can to help you out when we can.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr.
Sure,
Chair, the mission does an amazing job. They have a rehabilitation program, and I taught at Roosevelt, and the kids from the mission, the families that were at the mission, went to Roosevelt, and the mission was wonderful with the folks that were homeless, and the kids from families that were homeless, and those parents that were either alcohol or drug dependent, and getting them off of drugs and alcohol. So thank you. I thank you so much for everything you do. People have no idea how much work goes into what you do. So thank you.
Well, thanks again for showing up, and hopefully, again, we know the money will be wisely used. So thank you very much. And so I'll entertain a motion to go ahead and make this
Mr. Chairman,
official.
I'll make a motion that we approve as presented.
For a second?
Second.
So a motion and a second to approve item number 6 is presented. Thank you very much. Any discussion on the item? If none, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Item number 8 is for county administrators to appoint Raymond Hanna as interim Yuma County Public Defender effective February the 8th, 2022. I don't see Mike, but I think I see Mr. Hanna here. And we just want to make it a public announcement. I mean, obviously, we appreciate the fact that there's always someone capable to handle and to take over when someone leaves, whether it's voluntarily or involuntarily. So I just wanted to make sure that we acknowledge your appointment and that we wish you the best in this particular task you're undertaking. And pretty much that's it. Yeah, there you go. We know now what you look like. But is there anybody else making a comment? Then I'll entertain a motion to go ahead and make the appointment official.
Mr. Chairman, I'd entertain a motion. I will make a motion to appoint Raymond Hanna as the interim Yuma County Public Defender.
February the 8th, 2022. Is there a second?
Second.
Then motion and second. Is there any discussion? None. All those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Good luck.
Thank you, sir.
All right. So we now move really quickly to number 13, which is Superior Court Administration. Adopt resolution number 2206, requesting the governor of Arizona to establish a constitutional permanent division 7 of the Superior Court in and for Yuma County effective as July 2022. Judge, I know we talked about this a few times during my tenure here, and it's always been something we said will come, something was going to happen anyway, and I think the growth in the county, notwithstanding the fact that it probably slowed down during the pandemic a little bit in terms of the person-to-person thing, but it certainly, I don't think it had that much of an impact on the crime rates.
No, they keep working.
Yeah, and it's big enough, so.
Shutdowns for COVID.
Right, well, okay, so the floor is yours, Judge.
Thank you.
for
Thank you,
coming over.
Chairman Reyes, Vice Chairman Lyons, members of the board. It's a pleasure to be here. And I've been presiding judge, I think this is my 4th year. And every year at budget time, the issue would come up in our pre-discussions, are we going to ask for it this year? And let's not do it this year. We can do one more year. We can do one more year. But this time, as part of the motivating factor to make the request now is we have such a backlog of cases from the COVID. The Chief Justice of the Supreme Court suspended speedy trial rights for over a year. From March 2020 through now, we've only done a handful of trials. We have a huge backlog of criminal trials, civil jury trials, and we need to dig out, and we're going to need more hands on deck to do that. And one of the things that we would like is to finally ask for another Superior Court judge to be appointed, another division. Now, according to the population, we qualify for 2. We're only asking for 1. I think with 1, we'll be able to do it. In 2009, when former Justice Gould, Andy Gould, was the presiding judge, the
Former Supreme Court Justice Gould? We like to say that all the time. Former Supreme Justice Gould.
yes, and who's trying to be Attorney General now. But anyway, when he was presiding judge here, the National Center for State Courts conducted a survey of what our needs were on the Superior Court bench. And at that time, they said we needed an additional 1.5 judges. We got one of the half positions with the commissioner. But since then, obviously, our population has increased substantially. And our caseloads are heavy. Our judges are working hard. We've done what we can to make us more efficient. When I came onto the bench, every Superior Court judge carried a varied caseload. I had civil, domestic, criminal, and probate. So I had 4 different calendars. We've tried to, and the problem with that was we have a priority of cases. Criminal cases take priority over civil cases. And so if I had a conflict between my civil calendar and my criminal civil calendar always got bumped. So we've made changes, and I can't take credit for them. They were done before I was the presiding judge, where judges had more limited calendars. We have one judge dedicated exclusively to civil, and suddenly our civil cases are getting jury trials done. But we're at a point where we need more help. Since the last division was created, we've added 2 specialty courts in Yuma County. We have a mental health court, and that's been operating, and it's been very, very helpful. People with mental health problems don't fit neatly into the criminal justice system. And without taking some special measures, they are just going to keep coming back in and back in and back in. And the costs of Rule 11 evaluations, restoration to competency, very expensive. And mental health court is working better. It's not a cure-all, but it's working better. Veterans court was something our community pushed for. We did not have the resources at the Superior Court level. Our Justice of the Peace Stewart agreed to find time in his calendar to oversee that court, but there are Superior Court employees that help manage that court. You know, I know we've had some communication with the board. I feel like this proposal has received some favorable responses, and I appreciate that. I assure you that we have an excellent Superior Court. Our staff are excellent. Our judges are hardworking and excellent. We take seriously our duty to promote access to justice to the citizens of Yuma County, residents of Yuma County, and we think we need another division to do that. So thank you, and if you have any questions, I'd try to answer.
Well, the questions are going to come a little later. This is a resolution, but obviously we're going to go through a budget procedure, and setting up a new court system, it's going to be somewhat costly, but what probably matters most is what happens afterwards, right, which is the maintenance of that, the maintenance of effort that goes in keeping that court open, the space needed, the judges, the clerks. We probably need to start as a board of supervisors looking at what that's going to be, although we know that the funding, some of it comes from the Supreme Court itself, from the justice system. Some of it will end up being having to be taken care of by us. I mean, maybe budgetary wise. So we need to start looking at some of those numbers. But before we go into that, and you know, this is not probably the time to get into a lengthy discussion about that, I do want to make a statement about how well those courts are run, and how well, what a good job you've done, and what a good job Judge Cole and every one of the administrators, Mr. Cole, Judge Cole at the time. I mean, you know, I don't know if anybody goes back that far, but I remember Judge Cole, and I remember Stewart. I remember many of the other judges that were there before, and I've always had this impression that for some reason, our judges are really good judges. Our representatives and senators are really good representatives and senators. They've always kept Yuma in itself in a high esteem everywhere they go, and this is no exception. And I just don't take the opportunity to say that very many. We don't get the chance to say that many times publicly to all of you, but those of us who know and those of us who understand know what a good job you do given the limited resources we give you and the Supreme Court or the court system gives you. So congratulations on doing such a great job, and hopefully this will be a start of the 7th division that we've looked for for years. I don't want to say how many, because then everybody will know how old I am, but it's been quite a while. So thank you very much. Anything else? So will there be a motion to approve the item as
Mr.
presented?
Chairman, I'll make the motion that we present, or that we approve item 13 as presented.
Is there a second? All right, there's been a motion, a second. One last thing. It may be, the county may have an opportunity to invest some of the CARES Act money in some way that it's different, because I think some of the restrictions, initial restrictions were lifted. I would like to consider that if we don't have, there's a project we can't do, that we start to see if we can finance some of the costs that it's going to take to get that going. It's probably going to take cooperation between us and the state to be able to get it done. It's going to be easy for them to say, do it. It's just not going to be easy to actually get it done.
Right.
So anyway, that's kind of the part of the discussion. All those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? There you go. You're off and running.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Judge, I have one question.
Okay.
Do you know what the breakdown is on the cost between the state and the county?
Generally, the judge's salary is paid half by the county, half by the state. But the judge's staff, the judicial assistant, and the bailiff is paid by the county.
Okay.
That's generally the breakdown. And as far as space issues, I think we have existing space to handle one additional judge. 2 judges would be more problematic, but 1 I think we can do.
Right, well, we'll be looking at that
Thank
during
you.
budget time, so it will be a lot easier to get that.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Good morning.
Thank you, Judge. Okay, all right. So we're done with the consent calendar, and there will be other things that we will take on. I know the housing department was next, but we're gonna skip that for a minute. Mr. Roldan, I think I see you. He sports the same haircut I do, so it's easy to find him. But so we're gonna take on item number 2 on the public hearing side, and this will be Development Service Planning and Zoning, a public hearing on the text amendment case number 21-03, adopting the proposed Yuma County Bikeway Master Plan. Thank you for bringing it, but we don't need it right now, but we'll need it a little while later. All right.
We'll have it if we
We'll
have
have
it.
it at the time. All right, so what I've done is open up public hearing number 2, and I mentioned it's the Development Service Planning and Zoning. It's a public hearing, the text amendment case number 2103, and it's the adoption of the proposed Yuma County Bikeway Master Plan. There will be a PowerPoint presentation by staff, I think. So are you ready? Oh, I see they weren't ready.
Death by PowerPoint.
She's right here.
Oh, Maggie?
Yeah, she's in the other room.
Well, I thought Maggie was always ready. Just didn't fit here, huh?
She was doing her best to stay out of in the other room, so.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Maggie Castro, Planning and Zoning Director. Yes, this is the request, the text amendment to adopt the proposed Yuma County Bikeways Master Plan. The Board of Supervisors originally reviewed the document back in December. And actually back in, I think it was November that the item was brought to you as a discussion item. This is the actual public hearing to adopt the master plan. Jeff Brand and I believe that Gene Dalby are both here to speak about what's the actual contents of the plan. There was a comment that was addressed from the irrigation districts, and there was wording inserted into the proposed plan to address the comment from the irrigation districts.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes?
Maggie, has everything in this letter from water users been adopted and inserted into the plan?
There was a statement inserted into page.
That was a letter dated December 6th, 2021.
The comment was addressed through with wording in the plan. It's page 13 of the document.
Okay. But water users is satisfied with that verbiage?
We did not hear any more from the irrigation district.
Okay, thank you for that comment. Are you going to do anything other than that, other than just bring up some of the issues. I mean, really, because we've discussed this before. And the only issue that really remained that was really difficult to get over was whether the water use associations or different irrigation districts were willing to utilize the right of way to allow some of these bike paths to actually get off the road and get into some pathways that wouldn't be as dangerous. They seem to say they would look at every request and that they can't talk for everybody.
Right.
And so that there's district managers that may or may not feel the same way, but overall, they're saying, look, we look at it as any right-of-way request from APS or any other utility service in case we ask them to use their right-of-way. That, to me, is the biggest hurdle we've had.
Right.
I think everyone here, just in case the people that are here weren't here last time, but I think that everyone here on the board acknowledges and understands just the importance of bike paths and the importance of biking in general. I mean, we've had this drill into our minds and hearts for a long time. So we were just expecting to get over this particular issue and get to the point where we can actually support it. But this is a public hearing, and are you making a presentation?
Mr. Chairman, this was my presentation. The PowerPoint just has the map showing the.
Yeah, would you do me a favor and
proposed-
just put the map up in case someone from the public wants to make a comment about it?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
For your
Supervisor
comment,
Blank.
can we just read the one sentence just to verify and clarify?
For the record, you mean?
Yeah.
Which one?
I've got on the second page, if I may read it.
Yeah, go ahead.
The
Well, hold on, Maggie. Just
The association recommends adoption of the language in the plan that places the requirement of obtaining approval from any irrigation district or water users association that would be affected by any proposed project. This would be no different than a coordination and approval that might be required for the utility. As the chairman mentioned, I just want to make sure that we're not granting anything blanket, right? And that approval still needs to take place.
Well, maybe we need to define that. This is a bikeway proposed plan. We don't have the ability or the right to impose on different districts or owners of right of way. We tend to have a process. And what we want people to know is that we support the bike paths and that we like to, as much as possible, do it in conjunction with the different agencies that have to approve. In no way should it reflect on an agency that they have a difference of opinion. Sometimes their experiences are different based on where they're located. I think most of the districts in Yuma proper, well, they don't care. Most of the districts outside, they just don't want people driving on their pathways. And I am a witness to this. When it rains, some of those canal sites become very dangerous to bike or drive on. So they become very, there's water that goes under them, and it becomes very dangerous. So I can see where there could be some times where the irrigation district may just simply say, look, we sealed them off, it's unsafe or something. So we want people to know that what we look forward to is sort of a working relationship with those districts that require that we do so, because I'm sure that they not only are they looking at their operations, but they're looking at the safety of anyone driving in their canals or the banks, because if something happens, there's a liability issue that needs to be addressed. So having said that, I'm going to open it to the public. Again, I tend to have a saying that when you're ahead, you just like to stay ahead. So everything you say can and will be used for you or against you. So, the way I look at it, it is going smoothly. I know that the bike guy, where is he? Yeah, there he is. I can't see him, but he knows what I'm talking about. So Maggie, let me open this to the public and see if anyone from the public would like to come up and support. Now, I can do this by reading this and come and asking you to come up, or you can say your name and I'll take you off this list.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Vice Chairman, members of the Board of Supervisors, my name is Jeff Brand, and I had the honor of chairing the task force that developed the draft Bikeways Master Plan. And on behalf of the task force, I'm making this presentation. The task force worked together for over a period of 4 months. Our meetings were lively and engaging and meld the diversity of knowledge and experience to craft what we believe is the right plan for contemporary Yuma County. I'd like to acknowledge the task force members and thank them for their service. We were fortunate to have the commitment, the seriousness of purpose, that these members brought to the task. The team included Councilman Mike Shelton, appointed to the task force by the City of Yuma, former Councilman Carlos Gonzalez, appointed to the task force by the City of Summerlin, former Vice Mayor Maria Ramos, appointed to the task force by the City of San Luis, Welton Public Works Director Joe Grant, appointed to the task force by the Town of Welton, Executive Director of the YMPO, Paul Ward, Senior Planning Mobility Manager of the YMPO, Charles Gutierrez, Technical Services Manager of the Yuma Water Users Association, Charles Cowan, owner of Sonoran Bike Cycles, Sean Chapman, and President of the Yuma Regional Bicycle Coalition, Gene Dalby. We also enjoyed the guidance and technical expertise of a number of senior county staff members. Former county engineer Chris Young initiated the task force process and was a guiding hand through most of our journey. County engineer Frank Sanchez added his expertise and experience in the final stages of the draft plan. Planning Director Maggie Castro was actively engaged throughout the process and provided both input and, when needed, some constructive criticism that made this a much stronger document. I would really be derelict not to acknowledge County Administrator Susan Thorpe for authorizing the innovative and cost-effective approach that produced this plan. She recognized that Yuma County had the right blend of senior staff and community expertise to create a plan that we could all be proud of. Without her support, this plan would not exist. Comparable communities have spent up to $275,000 to have consultants write their bikeways plan. Yet the only difference between a consultant-driven Yuma County bike plan and our staff community-driven bike plan would be a bunch of flashy photos, expensive illustrations, extensive boilerplate jargon, and perhaps a few less typos. Okay. We invested our time, our expertise, and our energy. As is appropriate for an initial plan, the proposed Bikeways Master Plan is heavy on process and light on quantitative deliverables. Unlike the plans of our municipalities, the proposed county plan does not initiate the process of constructing a definitive number of bike lanes, bike trails, or bike routes. Rather, it allows the staff, in partnership with the community, to dream, to explore, and to investigate a variety of potentially viable projects that could contribute to the health and well-being of our residents and likewise enhance the economic health of our county. The efforts to implement this plan do not require new funding. They require staff time and/or fall within existing departmental operations. While the plant plants many seeds, any major project that ultimately grows from the plan would require the approval of a variety of individuals and entities, such as the county administrator, the Planning and Zoning Commission, the Parks and Recreation Commission, and ultimately the Board of Supervisors. The plan is informed by a variety of rigorous academic and professional studies that document the health and economic benefits that derive from making a community bicycle-friendly. A sample of these studies was included as addenda to the plan. The number of studies validating the economic and health benefits of community bicycle facilities are too numerous to have attached them all, or the document would have been about this big. As we know, the plan was initially presented to the Board of Supervisors. When that happened, the Yuma Irrigation District raised the theoretical concerns about bike plan-related contamination. As a result, the plan was returned to the Planning Commission. Even though decades of cooperation between the Yuma County Water Users Association and the City of Yuma show that canals and paths safely coexist, even though there is nothing in the scientific literature that points to contamination due to canal paths, even though the plan does not envision a canal between the City of Yuma and the foothills, thus this plan would have no impact on YID. Nevertheless, to facilitate the adoption of the plan, at the bottom of the section entitled Involvement of Irrigation Districts, the following compromised language was added, and I quote, Prior to submission for approval to the County Board of Supervisors, any proposed canal path must have the prior approval of the adjacent managing water district or association, unquote. This revision was approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission, and we believe this language should suffice to resolve the concerns raised by YID. Also, please note that the Yuma County Water Users Association, whose letter you have, fully supports the plan. The last time the Planning Commission recommended adoption of a bikeways plan was 1987. And most of the problems identified in that plan still exist and still need resolution. In fact, the need to fix these plans has only intensified as the county has grown. The amended language was crafted in the spirit of compromise, as the community cannot wait another 34 years to start the process of addressing bicycle safety improvements, bicycle-related family recreational opportunities, and the economic stimulus that this plan can usher in. Clearly, it is not in the interest of the community for this process to be elongated. Thus, we believe the compromise approach is the path the county should follow into the future. The time has come for the county to adopt a bikeways master plan that provides the basis for partnership with Yuma's municipalities to create a county-wide bicycle infrastructure that enhances bicycle access and safety, that enhances the economic contribution of winter visitors, and that stimulates bicycle tourism within our borders. The proposed plan clearly targets these objectives with an approach that values research and collaboration. The time for adopting a master plan is now. And if any of the board members have any questions about the plan, I would be more than happy to address those.
Does anybody have any questions? No? You think you covered it pretty well. You covered the history, you covered the need that we saw to find some cooperation and some coordination. I think you've covered it pretty well. Thank you very much, Mr. I'm just getting old.
That's okay.
So I'm gonna open it up to the public. If public was here to talk about it. If you wanna say something in support, fine, step up. If you wanna say something against it, step up. You're welcome to make the comment. Thank you, Mr.
Okay, thank you.
Brand.
Good morning, Chairman Reyes and board members. My name is Greg Four. I'm a Yuma County resident, a member of the Foothills Bicycle Club, and I also serve on the board of the Yuma Region Bicycle Coalition. I've been authorized by the Yuma County Water Users Association to read their letter to the Board of Supervisors. Their representative was unable to attend this morning's meeting due to the association's annual meeting today. The letter is as follows. To the Yuma County Board of Supervisors, in relation to the support of Yuma County Bikeways Master Plan, to whom it may concern. The Yuma County Water Users Association has held the charge of safely and efficiently delivering Colorado River water to farms and municipalities alike for over 100 years. As decades passed, the Yuma Valley began its evolution into 3 separate cities and a significant presence of the development in unincorporated areas of Yuma County. With the growth and development comes encroachment upon farms and natural habitat. Thankfully, the association has long since found a solution that benefits not only our own operations, but also provides benefits to our water users and the community as a whole. Since 1995, the association has allowed the occupation of association-managed rights-of-way by multiple-use pathway systems. The pathway projects provide access to the canal right-of-way in a manner that is neat, orderly, safe, and very well maintained. It would be difficult to ignore the wide variety of benefits that the members of our community gain by the inclusion of specific recreation projects such as multi-use pathway systems. The association approves each project within our boundaries to ensure it is compatible with the association's operations and maintenance, and that it incorporates certain design features that go toward proper stewardship of not only the direct lands that the project occupies, but also those waters and land downstream. The association also receives benefit from these projects in the form of increased safety and security, such as installation of lights along the paths, routine patrols by law enforcement, and an ever-vigilant public that uses these facilities. In all, the association has also been able to use these projects to actually slow the increase of our delivery costs to our water users by the overall reduction in maintenance overhead for those canal reaches that have a co-located pathway project. We have come a long way in these past 26 years, now having the cities of Yuma, Somerton, and San Luis signatory to agreements that allow for swift approval by the association of multi-use pathways and linear parks within the association-managed rights-of-way. I personally have sat on a team as a representative of the association for the development of the Yuma County Bikeways Master Plan. While the association stands by the input we have given to the development of the plan, we also acknowledge, respect, and uphold the right of any respective lands manager to lend either support or disapproval to any project they are presented with for consideration. From our perspective, each of the Yuma area irrigation districts manage their respective lands in their own way. Opinions may and likely do vary with regard to limited development of projects on their managed rights-of-way. The association recommends adoption of the language in the plan that places the requirement of attaining approval from any irrigation district or water users association that would be affected by any proposed project. This would be no different than the coordination and approval that might be required for a utility crossing or a roadway. I am pleased to see the plan coming together and look forward to my office working with Yuma County to implement the plan. Should you have any questions or concerns, please do not hesitate to contact me at any time. For your convenience, my email address is ccowan@ycwua.org. And this letter is signed sincerely, Charles A. Cowan, Head of Technical Services.
Thank you, thank you very much, Mr. Fari.
Thank you.
You know, it's a French word. I have a tough time with understanding brand. You know, we sort of write like doctors. All we need is a license. It's tough to understand sometimes. But thank you very much, and I'll assure you both letters. The letter that the task force sent through him to Mr. Brand, and the letter you've given us will be on the record for this here.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Board.
Thank you for your testimony. Does anybody else want to take up? I have Antonio Martinez.
Jesus Aguilar.
Jesus Aguilar?
Yes,
Okay.
Jesus Aguilar, representing Los Cyclists Bike Club. Good morning, Chairman and members of the board. Just wanted to come and speak today to let you guys know that us, Los Cyclists Bike Club, we are in support of the Bikeways plan. Some of the things that we do here, we hold some pop-up bike shows. We ride with our community. We get a lot of our friends and stuff involved. One by one, we just start introducing it to people. We have about 40 members right now, 40 adult members, and of course with their children involved too. So we like to try to teach them the right way to ride bikes and stuff in the road and share the road. There's been a lot of people that have come up to us and asked us, they're interested in riding bikes. They're interested in getting out there. A lot of them are afraid of actually being on the road, traveling next to cars and stuff like that. They feel safe in the areas where there are bike lanes and stuff, but as a whole, they were like, man, if it was a little bit more safer, we'd ride more. They ride the East Main Canal. They ride the bike path down there by the West Wetlands and stuff like that, a section that we've adopted ourselves to take care of as a club. But we are in support of this, and we definitely love to see it push forward. This is something that's going to benefit my family as well as my bike family and all of our other riders. So I appreciate the opportunity to be noticed and recognized here.
Thank you, Mr. Aguilar.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for your comments. Mary Hogginson? Anyway. Marty.
Good morning. My name is Marty Hoganson, 10722 South Williams Avenue. I've been in Yuma for about 25 years. I've been president of the Foothills Bike Club for nearly that long, board member of the Yuma Region Bike Coalition. For all these years, we have been attending meetings, planning meetings, public information meetings, meetings with state, county, and city highway engineers. We've been trying to interest everyone in the idea of safer roadways for everybody, not just for bikes, for everybody. We've been quite successful with the city, but we're not so successful with the county. Our club also has a welcome website. It generates thousands of hits from people interested in coming here. They're interested in the club and they're interested in the region in general, partially because we organize rides and partially because of just the weather here. Then they arrive to discover how many miles we ride on what they consider substandard roads. No bike lanes, no paved shoulders. They are uncomfortable with the cars and trucks whizzing by just 3 or 4 feet from your shoulder. It is disconcerting to be riding along on the white line and there's no shoulder and you can reach out and touch an 18-wheeler going by. Just all you see is the wheels. And that bothers us also. Most of our riders are retired professionals, doctors, nurses, attorneys, engineers, judges, business owners, teachers. We would like to keep those type of people here. They're good people coming in. But sometimes the new people coming here will spend their vacation time, their 2 weeks, a month, 3 months, and then they don't come back. Then next year they may try Tucson or Phoenix or someplace like that, mostly because they have the facilities. I usually end my little rants by being a little facetious. I usually say I would like to see positive changes in my lifetime. That used to sound funny 25 years ago, but now that I'm approaching 80, it's not so funny because nothing's happened in that time. So,
you're getting better at it.
I hope this is a start.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marty. And I call you Mary, so you have all the right to complain. So, anyway, Marty, thank you very much. Anyone else? If not, we'll close the public hearing unless Mr. Bicycle wants to say a couple of words. Gene.
You weren't gonna get away with
Remember what I told you, Gene? You better. Okay, go ahead.
Good morning. My name is Gene Dalby, 1183 West 37th Street, Yuma, Arizona. Thank you for allowing me to be here and make another presentation to you. I've heard today 1,000 things said that I have said to you numerous times in the past, and I'm very grateful to be where we are today to start off on a new adventure with Yuma County and the benefits that go with bicycling. I sincerely believe that every single person in Yuma County will benefit from this bike plan. In sometimes a very small way, only just by having better road safety, all the way up to a better health plan and a very long-term life expectancy because of a better health plan, to better businesses that come to Yuma because of the opportunity associated with employees and their health, and 100 other different items. You've seen the list of 60-plus benefits of bicycling. Some are a little tongue-in-cheek maybe, but many of them are real, and they occur the first time you put your foot on a pedal and start bicycling. In small amounts, of course, but as you progress down through those periods of bicycling, they get a lot better all the way around in every sense of it. So thank you, and I'm very grateful that it wasn't me having stood up here and said all the previous words that were said. You've heard from me often enough, and today is my final presentation with regard to this subject, and I'm looking forward to its approval and moving forward with the rest of what the county has planned and will develop. God bless you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gene. Again, if there is someone that I could point to that has kept the pressure on, is Gene. So, I mean, things happen sometimes, and especially in county government, take a long time to happen, but it is consistent, persistent people like you guys and him that eventually get this thing done. So I want to thank Gene for his efforts, and I want to thank everybody that showed up this morning in support because we think it's important. Anyone else? If not, I'm gonna close the public hearing and return it to the board for their decision, for the.
I'll make a motion. We approve text amendment case number 21-03 as presented.
I'll second it.
And remember, we have put everything you've said on the record, so essentially it will be there in case you need to double check on it. Any more discussion on the item? If not, all those in favor of the motion, approve it by saying aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Thank you guys for showing up. If this is the item you were here for, you can go, you're excused. That way we allow the people in the next door to come back.
Guys, enjoy the day.
Don't hit the
Yeah.
door.
Guys, stay safe.
Yeah, stay
Yeah,
safe.
be careful.
We're gonna give them a few seconds or minutes to get out.
Tell you what.
What?
When I patrolled out in
Thank you,
Hyder,
Maggie.
I've had groups of 100 bikers coming out of the foothills out in Hyder.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
they're
running out
active.
there.
They're active.
They
And
are
it's how
very
they keep, you don't hardly see anybody, overweight in the group.
Enjoy the solitude.
I don't think so. We're just gonna move people from the other room in.
Yeah. Yep, every single one of those people are at good weight.
Yeah, I don't see many people.
They can ride and ride and ride, some of them.
Look younger and younger to me. They get older and older, huh? Right.
West
So,
Wetlands and
would
East
you,
Wetlands.
would you
Boy, let me
ask the
tell
people
you.
in the other room, somebody to come over,
Yes.
to get in here?
Oh, here they come.
Yeah, here they come. They'll fill in.
The other side.
For those who feel a little cramped, you can come in and stretch out a little bit.
These chairs are much more comfortable, aren't they? Yeah, they are.
All right. Okay. Well, look, we took care of item number 2. We're gonna go back to the regular schedule that we have, the regular board schedule that we have. So the first item in the regular schedule is a not so regular thing, which is we'll meet as the Housing Governing Board, and we have no board member. So the chair that is here would be sort of to reflect the fact that we need to pick someone from the complexes to serve as a member. So moving on, we're gonna open that up, and we'll be sitting as the Housing Governing Board. The items are listed under the consent agenda will be considered as a group and acted upon one motion with no separate discussion unless a board member so requests. In the event will be removed from the consent calendar for the separate discussion and action. So we found a use for it.
What was
So,
it?
now we have it really close. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4 items in the consent calendar for the board, the governing board. One is housing, adopt resolution number 2022-02. The other one is to adopt and authorize the chairman to sign resolution 2022-03. And the third one is to adopt and authorize the chairman to sign resolution number 2022-04. And the fourth one is to adopt and authorize the chairman to sign resolution number 22-05, approving the amended low rent public housing admissions and continued occupancy. Normally, those are items requested by HUD to be done every year. And they're more or less pretty much part of the process. If you want an explanation or have a question about any of them, I would have to open them up for discussion. So if you want to discuss any of the items, you let me know. If not, then I'll entertain a motion to approve it. We do have the Executive Director, Jesus Roldan, here with us, or the Director of the Housing Department, in case you have any questions about any of those items. Does anybody have any questions? If not, then make a motion to approve consent calendar.
A motion to approve the consent calendar as presented, items 1 through 4.
Second.
Okay, I wish I'd have more time to talk about it and, give you more kudos about how the department is run, but there's no time and I didn't open any of the items, so I'm gonna have to go through it. So there's consent items 1 through 4. Congratulations on your relationship with the city of Somerton, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Anybody, all those in favor of the motion, I can discuss it. All in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. That was easy. Thank you. And we do have an extra chair here in case you need it. That takes care of the items for the Housing Board. And so we're going to go back into regular session, into regular discussion. We reconvene as Yuma County Board of Supervisors in regular session, and we'll get into discussion and action items, which will open the items separately for discussion and action as appropriate. And the first item is County Administration, Public Health Service District, Emergency Management, discussion and possible action regarding COVID-19 updates and activities. And we do have the Health District Director with us.
Good morning,
Gomez.
Chairman Reyes, members of the board. Our case rate is finally starting to drop down. So that's good news. Our positivity rate is slightly lower. It started peaking right before Christmas. We were looking at about an 11%, which we had held steady at. And then it peaked January 16th with almost 50% of all tests coming back positive. And that's consistent with the numbers that you saw. The hospitalizations are still up. As of Friday, there was 105 people hospitalized with COVID. 82 of those were unvaccinated. My staff, the health department, is still working. If you recall, we had worked with ADHS and DEMA and Tony's office to get healthcare teams down here. We had a paramedic team that came down and arrived here right before Christmas. We extended them once. They're requesting another extension because the hospital still needs help with their staffing. There was a second member team, I think it was 15 health professionals that came down and helped them again right after that. So there was two separate teams, and they're probably going to request an extension on that. So again, as far as vaccines go, just a reminder that vaccines are available. We still have our clinic. We're actually doing some walk-ins now. We have clinic every day. It's from 8:30 or Monday through Thursday. 8:30 to 11, and then 1 to 4. So we want to remind people. The Pfizer vaccine, again, is available. The next news as far as vaccine goes is that they just submitted their data to the FDA for review, and the next step is to consider approval for children 6 months to 4 years of age. So that's next in the process. The FDA goes through that, and then the CDC analyzes that through an independent panel as well. But we expect those vaccines to be, if all goes well and they're approved, they could be available as early as the first week of March. So that process is going to start going forward next week. So we're cautiously optimistic about that. Right now, the prevalent strain circulating in our community is the Omicron variant. 98% of all the samples that are being sequenced are coming back positive for Omicron. So just something to keep in mind. If you start developing symptoms, it's just a reminder to just go ahead and have that conversation with your doctor. If you get worse, there's antivirals that are now available. We have them in our community. So you need to just have a discussion with your doctor. I mean, you know yourself best, so it's important to just have that awareness. Again, we're looking at the vaccine news, and Moderna just received for 18 and up the full FDA. I know there was a lot of people that were concerned about the emergency use authorization. And just a reminder, emergency use authorization is something that is used by the FDA so that tools, therapeutics, things that are needed, particularly in emergencies or in the event of the pandemic, can be used. They still go through a rigorous testing process. They're still clinical phase, but they're under emergency use approval. The Pfizer vaccine for adults 16 and over received full approval, moved from the emergency use approval to full approval a couple months ago. And now the Moderna vaccine has received full approval for 18 and up. So again, I know there was people that were hesitant about that. So again, if you have questions about vaccines, please reach out to a provider. We understand that's in a very individual personal choice. We encourage those questions. We want to be able to answer them for you. So again, just a reminder to stay safe out there. We have a lot of events going on. People are out. We're visiting families. So just gather and do it safely. And I would be happy to answer any questions.
First, I'll begin with a comment. I think that after Christmas and after all the get-togethers and New Year's and stuff, people were a little scared. And so the reaction was that people who went to get tested went to get tested because they felt they had been exposed. And normally they had been because they've been in large groups. So it was not unexpected that the infection rate went high. It's because people who now getting tested are getting tested for a reason. And that infection process was pretty fast. And so it was not unexpected. The piece of good news you bring us is that those numbers are going down. notwithstanding February the 14th, Valentine's Day, which will expect another spike. But I do want to sort of recognize the work that your staff is doing to outreach, to get out to the people, because I mean, we know we're doing more testing, we know, and it's being done by organizations out there, but the county is still very, very active in getting to Somerton, getting to San Luis, getting to Welton, and bringing the vaccine and the booster shots and everything that comes with the health department into that. Maria Nunez is here. She is a recognized face everywhere out there because she's always out there somewhere doing something for someone. And I wanted to make sure that your staff knew that we know it's a team effort. We know nurses are getting tired. We know this has been an ongoing process for a while, not only in the health department, in the hospitals and the nursing areas. I mean, everybody is sort of COVID fatigued. But, you know, the message is we need to stay vigilant for a little while longer, at least until we get to a point where this becomes more of a, quote, new normal, as they call it now. But I think people need to realize we're not totally out of the woods yet. We need to keep constant watch and not let our guard down and have another uptick of cases. So thank you very much for the work you guys are doing. I've mentioned this to everybody that ever asked me, but I don't think the health department is ever going to go back to what the health department used to be, which is what we used to think about. Oh, they're checking out on restaurants and making sure food's okay. I think the health department now has become it's like a library. You know, it's probably one of the most liked departments, well, sometimes anyway, and probably one of the most needed ones. Well, you know, we always have opinions one way or another, but I think that it's become a very, very substantial, needed department now. So we are, I feel extremely lucky that people like you're directing it and people like Maria is working on it. So please keep up the good work and we'll continue.
I just want to make another comment. Tony was saying Welton and stuff. I also know you guys are out in the Dayton area quite frequently. And I mean, you're talking 64 miles from town. So they're out in all the outlying areas of the county. And I just want to thank you for being out there and being present.
And hopefully one of these days you'll get the ban that you requested a year and a half ago or something like that. You know, to be able to actually drive out there with something that you can just park anywhere and just see people.
That would be nice.
Right now you're having to find spots or places to do this, which is not necessarily bad, but it'd be nice to be able to go out in the fields or, you know, move your processes to places in the right way with the equipment that you need to protect not only the public but yourself. Thank you very much. Are there any more questions or comments? If not, I'm going to ask Tony to come up for a minute here. Tony, in the side of the emergency or the emergency side, is there anything new that we should be aware of?
Nothing new, Mr. Chairman, Vice Chairman, members of the board. The only thing I can do is continue to emphasize that the tests are available throughout the community, and you can also do the mail order test. That site is available on our county website, and you can go to CDC for that. But the only option you have is to get yourself tested. If you're not feeling ill effects, stay home and let it go through its process. If you feel you need, then you go to your doctor, and they can guide you where you need to go. But we continue to monitor the testing sites and ensuring that they're on our county website. But that's all I have.
All right. I know county government moves kind of slow, but there's been some talk about making improvements to the building out there, the health department. So please try to cycle that faster if you can. I mean, I know it's not your cup of tea, but I mean, you know, normally it takes us months, if not years, to get a project on its way. I mean, I don't think the health department it's in that kind of an environment. I think they're an environment that they need to get some things done quickly. Otherwise, we're going to be, hate to say that, we're going to be like the government, one step behind now most of the time. So we need to make sure that we don't, you know, just set it back and then have to push it up when an emergency happens. Emergency management, as much as the name says, you know, it's emergency management, the job is actually to prevent emergencies from happening. And when they do, be ready for them. So, you know, I think you guys make a good team. So just keep it up. And whenever something comes up, we trust you to make the right decision. You don't have to come over and ask every time. I mean, you don't. So just keep doing the work you guys do and keep us all out of that situation where we have to make the decision.
We appreciate that. We continue to work as a team as you described. So if no other questions.
Are there any questions? Thank you very much, Tony, and you guys can go back to doing whatever you want to do, which is within your work schedule. All right, thank you very much. I had something in here. Oh, no, I think I already covered that. All right, thank you very much. The next item is County Administration Grants, discussion and request to add a regular full-time grant specialist position to the County Administrator's Grant Division, adopt personal amendment resolution number PAR 22-11, approving additional regular full-time grant specialist position and authorize the County Office of Management and Budget to establish budget authority not to exceed $72,831, utilizing appropriate and available Board of Supervisors contingency. I get that, but why are we getting that out of the contingency? Because there's no other budget place to go to? I mean, we're getting out of the Board of Supervisors contingency, which is not necessarily how I saw that. But can you explain? Not the position I know is needed, especially because we're now tapping, there's a lot of grants that we could tap into with the qualified person in there. And now that Nancy Nye has announced her retirement, we're gonna be stuck really bad. So we should have done this like 3 months ago. But you know what, why is it out of the budget, out of the board's contingency budget? I mean, Susan? I mean, maybe Susan can answer that.
That was a recommendation from Finance and Office of Management and Budget because it is an existing budget authority. We have to use existing budget authority for approving any kind of new expenditure. So we can't add budget authority to the budget bottom line during the course of the year.
Okay, so if Nancy's retiring, doesn't that open up a position?
That's what I thought. We want to add, we don't want to give up that position. We want to add a position. So if we were doing that, we would not
So we would
be
be
assisting.
replacing 2 people? We're moving people up? What are we doing?
So we
I mean,
would have
I know that
5?
this is, yeah, well, I know that this is mostly administrative decision, so I understand that. But you're asking us to add another position and just get it out of the board contingency. So that's why the question came up. Not, I thought this was like a position, and I said, well, don't we have an open position if Nancy leaves? So you're talking about an additional position on top
Yes,
of
this
Nancy's?
would be an
position.
additional.
What is Nancy's position listed as? What is Nancy's position listed?
Community Planning Supervisor.
Oh, so she's not a grant writer, right?
No.
She just did the grant writer work.
It's in her job description.
Okay. Right, so we're replacing Nancy and adding another person that's going to be basically focused on grant writing. And again, I have no problem with that. It's just where it comes from. I was a little surprised.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Diana Veloz with County Administration. It's a pleasure to be here today to discuss the grants division with you today. And yes, we are a staff of 4 right now, and we are requesting to add another position to our staff of already 4, which one of us already retired. Her retirement was on Friday. So our staff of 4 right now, just really quick presentation to show you, is managing a total of $12 million right now as it is. We're doing the Emergency Rental Assistance Program, which is $8 million. The Community Development Block Grant, it has 3 components to it: the regional account, the state special projects, and the Colonia. We're managing those funds right now. The home, which is the owner-occupied housing rehabilitation program, that is still ongoing as well. And in addition, we just got the Foothills Park grant, which we are also managing the funds for that grant.
Okay, so are you telling me that you're adding another person to administer, more or less?
The reason we need to add the new position is because we are getting new contracts. These contracts are pretty much already here. We're just anticipating getting these contracts contracted and executed. And we are already overwhelmed with the $12 million we're managing. We're already working a little bit of overtime with our staff. So we do have the ARPA funds that we're managing, which is $41 million. As we go through the ARPA funds, there's projects being allocated to that. The Tacna Water Infrastructure Project is estimated now at $9 million, and those grants are also underway. We have the upcoming Community Development Block Grant, regional account, state special projects, and Colonia as well, that are upcoming. So this is all in addition to the ones we're already managing. Home funds for the Arizona Department of Housing are also, we also applied for those as well. And the City of Yuma their home funds as well, the consortium with City of Yuma. And Orange Grove Rancho Mesa Verde is a project that we're still pursuing, and we are still getting funds for that, so that's to be determined. On top of that, we did apply for a broadband grant for $10 million, and we're crossing our fingers that we do get that grant. So those are the grants we're managing right now, and that is why we're requesting a new position to be added to our staff of 4 already. We want to be able to get them trained and ready to go when these funds start coming in, and we need to start implementing them.
So if I am to understand your presentation, what you want is not just a grant writer, you want an administrator type grant writer? Is that one that would apply for the grants and manage the grants?
So several staff members, Diana and Nancy primarily, were applying for grants and getting those grants. After you apply for the grant, then you have to administer the grant, report on the grant, and make sure all the other parties are complying with the grant requirements. So that's a huge piece that takes longer than just getting the grant. So this would be an additional person to assist to do some of the reporting, and while Nancy or Nancy's replacement and Diana continue to apply for grants because they have that higher level of expertise. This is a person that's going to help administer and report on those grants. So it's a lower level position that's being requested.
Going to manage that money for us, or help manage the money, yeah.
They help manage and then data input. Yes.
Okay, I get it. I just, when you write it as a grant specialist, I tend to lean on that person's going to hand grant applications and, new grant applications. But I guess in this particular case, it's more than grant application, it's a management position. You will be applying, but then you'll be helping manage some of the load that's already in the department. It's a pretty heavy load. And I know that financing, in this case, the finance department would probably have increased work to do that too. I mean, we go through an audit system that essentially requires the finance department to know. It's basically what's happening. I guess Hill is okay with this, right? He's fine with it. So you guys you want to add one more position to the department. You have 4, you need 5.
Yes, that's what we're requesting.
Any questions?
Is there a reason why we're not waiting till the budget time? Because they need them right now. Huh?
Yeah, this is heavy. Yeah.
Supervisor Pancrasi, sorry. We did consider that, but if we wait till the end of the fiscal year, we're going to have a harder time training that person while those grants are already coming in already. So that's why we wanted to request it now so we can have them trained.
How much money is there left on the contingency account for the Board of Supervisors? We want to take $70-some thousand of it. I know we don't use it.
Well, the board sets aside $500,000 each year. So you have
We used that a little bit, didn't we?
I'm not sure if you've used any of it this
I
year.
don't think we've used any this
We
year.
haven't used any.
Fine. I mean, I just want, I guess during the budget retreat, when we talk about this department, that budget will reflect the department's newer requirements. And we'd be able to put it in their department, right? It's just sort of like a startup. It's like the judge asking for a division, right? It's not so much creating the division. They probably have the space and the money. It's paying for it once it's created. That really becomes a challenge. Okay, I got it. Is there any other comments or any questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion from the board to approve item number 2, which is a request to add a regular full-time grant specialist and authorize the county office of management and budget to get it from the Board of Supervisors contingency, $72,000.
So moved.
Second.
Question: why are we getting the whole amount now? I mean, you're not going to use it. You're not going to use the $72,000. You're going to use maybe 30-some thousand. Why are you asking for? Is that fully what you're going to use between now and July?
We will use only the amount that it takes to get the job done. But if you add an FTE, you have to fully
You have to
fund that
it
FTE.
the whole year.
Right.
All right. Well, that was a question. It's okay. Not frustrating. Just a regular question. Okay. So did I hear a motion?
Yep. Lynn first.
Lynn
I
made the
second.
motion.
I made the motion and Darren seconded it.
Okay. Stereo ears. So the motion was made by Lynn, seconded by Darren. I thought it was Porches, but Martin, but it's okay. So Did you get that? All right, good. There's been a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion signify, well, is there any discussion? No? All those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. So thank you. Thank you, Diana. Okay, we have, wow. Let's go, what did we do? Did I skip it? Hold on. Okay, no, I actually did number 2, and now I'm going to 3. Hold the public hearing to receive public redistricting maps for the Board of Supervisors and Community College Districts, followed by Board of Supervisors discussion and adoption of the new boundary map. We're going to adopt them today? Oh.
Chairman
So we
Reyes.
listen to comments and then.
Members of the board. Good morning, Tiffany Anderson, Elections Director for Yuma County. We're here this morning to have our hopefully final opportunity for public hearing, as well as an adoption of the Board of Supervisors of the new Community College District and Board of Supervisors boundary maps. Today I have with me Doug Johnson, President of National Demographics Corporation, who was the county's consultant, mapping consultant for this process. With that, I will turn it over to him for a brief presentation or overview of the process, as well as a look at those final maps before you have discussion and potential adoption.
Before you move on, that says, you know, January 24th, February 28th if needed, and then it goes to board considerations, adopt the map, and map adoption sometime before July. So did I get it wrong when you said that we were going to adopt the map today?
No, sir. Chairman Reyes, we're hoping to adopt the maps today because at their January 24th meeting, the Redistricting Advisory Commission did vote to recommend maps to the Board of Supervisors for adoption today.
So say that we said, no, we don't like it. So that means that we then go into a period of discussing what we like? Or how does the process work before we go in?
If you were dissatisfied with the maps presented to you today as recommended by the Redistricting Advisory Commission, we would go back to the Advisory Commission to address those concerns. However, we were in front of your board just a few weeks ago, and this board was generally accepting of the options in front
I'm
of you
not
today.
saying that. I'm not saying we're not accepting. I'm just saying, okay, what happens if somebody has a disagreement? I wanted to open that up a little bit. Okay, so continue.
Doug Johnson's going to come forward now and just briefly go over the process one, hopefully, final time, and look at those final map options.
Hopefully you got the answer.
Yes, thank you. Again, Doug Johnson from National Demographics. Pleasure to be with you again. On the schedule, you know, sometimes you may have heard redistricting can get controversial. So the schedule was developed with an eye towards being ready for that if it should happen. Very happy to be here, as you've heard from the earlier presentation and from likely from the commission meetings. This has not been a controversial process, which is why it's we're able to wrap it up faster than
so far.
You just like to make mischief, don't you? So yes, it's.
You missed the one, but yeah.
So yes, as you've seen here and as you heard at the earlier briefing, the board did form an advisory commission. The commission has held an extensive series of meetings to look at both the college and the supervisorial district lines. I don't think we have more slides. I think that we're just doing the schedule slide today. Oh, are the maps in there too? Okay, so I have them. So you've been through the criteria, you know the guiding principles. We covered these in detail at the previous briefing. The main focus of the commission has been on the supervisorial lines because they are needing significant moves to come into population balance. As you may remember, the college is actually remarkably close to balance and just needs a very small change. So you can see on the bottom left the current map. You can see how 4 kind of wraps around. It's in the northeast and then wraps around to San Luis and then into what is now parts of Yuma down in South County there. And then 1 is next to it running from the north part of Yuma down to down south. And then 5, 2, and 3 kind of as you walk to the east. The college similarly has 4. It only has 3 districts in county as we talked about at the last meeting. Remarkably, these districts are very close to balance. I can see 3 actually is balanced as it currently exists, and then 4 and 5 only needed a change of 1 precinct to come into balance. So this is highlighting that 1 precinct that was what was proposed to the commission, and the commission endorsed making this change. This is the same thing we showed you before, but it's a really straightforward shift. And then for county supervisor districts, the commission worked it. They went through a whole bunch of maps. I think we had 9 or 10 altogether. And the commission ultimately narrowed it down to these 2 maps. And then the recommended map is the what is now known as the recommended map, is the map on the right, which does, as you can see, make the maps much more compact. District 4 loses that whole wraparound in the northwest, becomes a much more San Luis focused district. District 1 picks up that area to the west to make it the whole northwest corner is in 1, and then it picks up the little arch under the Somerville area and the elementary school district. That's the ultimate change in the recommended map.
That map makes my district look really small.
Yeah, I know. It just squeezes it out of the way. You get half the county, but you only get a little green sliver.
Exactly, and you can see that the 2 and 3, there's only the small changes where the blue and the green.
This was just intended to give us a choice, but it really wasn't much of a choice.
So again, these are the maps you saw at the previous presentation, so we're happy to answer questions.
I just want to make sure that I tell everybody this. Sometimes things don't work out too well. I don't know, for some odd reason, this census data stuff really made this simple, because it didn't change that population count that much in terms of, actually changing that population count in a way that would really impact every district. I believe we have more people than they counted.
Oh,
I believe we have more people in Somerton they counted. I believe there's more people in San Luis they counted. I believe there's more people in Yuma than they counted. But at the end of the day, I think everybody was mistreated anyway. So, we may not have been mistreated equally, because I think Somerton and Welton got the brunt of it.
Yeah.
But we were all kind of low on those counts. So that made that job a little less controversial, I think less contentious, because in reality, most of us understand that it's about keeping the numbers even. This map, both of them, the Gadsden and the Gadsden Plus, both keep compact districts. They focus on the number of people, the makeup, the racial makeup, the ethnic makeup, and the voter makeup doesn't change that much. It changes a little. There's always been a swing district, which is the one that Lynn has, and it will continue to be a swing district. So the other 2 districts are pretty much, or the other 4 districts, are pretty much the way they used to be. I don't foresee any controversy, but this is a public hearing, so we need to open it up to the public in a minute. Does the board member have any questions from our gentleman here? No? Then you can sit for a while until, there's a question you may want to answer. Is there anybody here in the public that wants to address the board on the redistricting issues? I know it sounds like anticlimactic, because normally this is kind of like a heated discussion about who gets what. But in this particular case, I don't see the board having any particular problems or issues with the map. So if nobody in the public is here to make a comment, we'll move it back to the board. We'll close it, move it back to the board for their discussion. Anybody in the public? No? Then I'll move it back to the board for their discussion. What's in front of us is either. We approve them as they recommended, or if you have any problems, we ask for some changes and send it back to them. I think that, well, from what I've heard, what I've seen, I don't think I've seen any community uptick in comments or calls, complaining about how the districts are, separated or redrawn, not like the state, for example, or the federal, which was quite a bit of change.
Mr. Chairman,
Supervisor Lang?
can we make a motion
Sure, we can make a motion.
to approve as recommended, the recommended map?
The Gadsden Plus? Which is,
That's
there are
the
2 maps.
recommended, right?
That's the Gadsden Plus.
Yes.
At this point, they're considered the recommended maps
Yeah,
for
they're
the
two.
community college district and board of
Yeah, but
supervisors.
the supervisor will offer 2, the trade and the plus. Which one was recommended?
There was a slight mistake. We weren't actually going to show that PowerPoint at this meeting today. Gadsden Plus is the recommended map.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the Gadsden Plus.
Recommended.
Recommended
Recommended
from the
maps for
districting
approval.
commission without any
Yeah.
changes. And would you also add to your motion that we approve the AWC?
AWC maps as presented.
District as presented.
Recommended.
So
Correct.
are we going to reduce the amount we pay our consultant? This was pretty quick. No, we're not? Not today? Oh, sorry.
So we are only
Just
paying
like-
them for the
Somebody's
work
gotta
that they
sweat this
provided
out.
us.
And actually, the contract does have a per meeting charge in it.
Oh, yeah, well, we will reduce it accordingly. Well, anyway, there's been a motion and a second to approve the plans or maps. The maps is recommended. It was made by Jonathan,
No,
second.
first, and then who seconded it?
I think nobody seconded.
Second, I'll second.
Oh, wait a minute, this gotta be bipartisan.
Oh, okay.
So,
I'll second it.
all right, so there's been a motion and a second, you're too late. There's been a motion and a second by Lynn Pancrase to approve the plan as recommended, the districting plan, redistricting plans as recommended, the gas and plus, and the three, not very many changes type, AWC district plan. Is it clear enough?
I'm having second thoughts.
Too late, too late. Is there any discussion? No second thought. Discussion? No discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. So if you give it time, somebody would come up with something.
Thank you.
Nonpartisan.
It is nonpartisan. It's bipartisan.
Yeah.
Bipartisan.
That's
Both
resources.
parties have a chance to shoot themselves in the foot.
I
All right.
just swapped
So
this
we've
for this.
done that, and so
Thank
we
you,
go
Senator.
to. Eh?
Guys.
Oh, we reconsidered the motion, so we will move on to engineering. Well, that's not encouraging. We're okay. In accordance with ARS, conduct an auction at 9 a.m. on or a schedule permits of assessor parcel number 632-33-089, a county-owned excess parcel, and authorize the county engineer to execute the documents transferring the property to the highest bidder or at or above the minimum bid. If there are no successful bids, continue this item and authorize the county engineer to return this item to the board when there is sufficient interest to conduct an auction. Mr. Sanchez, is there sufficient interest to conduct an auction?
Chairman Reyes, members of the board, Frank Sanchez, county engineer. There was interest. We got a call last week that the gentleman that was interested in the parcel ran into some financial hardship and wasn't going to be here today.
So is there anyone here that would like to participate in the auction?
That no one did register to bid. So we'd like to return this item back to the board when there is.
Do you want to table indefinitely until then or continue it to a specific date?
Indefinitely until there is interest.
So I'll enter a motion to table this item definitely until we're ready to proceed. Motion by Supervisor Simmons and seconded by Supervisor Lyons to table the item indefinitely until we're ready to proceed. Any more discussion on the item? No. All those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Frank. Okay, so that take care of number 4. We're going to the planning and zoning agenda where we have expedited rezoning and public hearings. These items will be open as a group for public hearing and acted upon by one motion to adopt the recommendation, except for any item that is removed by a board member for separate consideration. The item will be discussed and acted upon separately. Following action on expedited items. There's 2 items. One is public hearing rezoning case number 2127, and the other one's public hearing special use permit number 2108. Does anybody want to open? Does a board member want to open any of these 2 items? Or shall we? Okay. So, all right. So what we're going to do is we're going to open both cases at the same time on an expedited process. Does it require that we read anything or just simply read the title of the open? I mean, we got to open. It's still a public hearing, right? So we have to open it to the public at some particular time once we have a minor presentation. So the 2 items are a public hearing for rezoning case number 2127. Craig Colvin, agent for David McMillan, Rancho Rialto LLC, requested rezoning of an approximately 14.69 acre portion of a parcel 56.37 net acre size from recreational vehicle park to manufactured home. Assessors parcel number 700-48002 located at 11322 South Avenue 12E, Yuma, Arizona. And the Development Service, again, another public hearing for a special use permit case number 2108, Raul Escamilla, agent for Raul and Candelaria Escamilla, requests a special use permit per section 601.03X of the Yuma County zoning ordinance to allow an accessory dwelling unit on a parcel one gross acre in size zone, rural area, 40-acre minimum, assessors parcel number 663-04-052, located on 8080 South Avenue D, Yuma, Arizona. I guess to open up to the public, we're gonna need as brief a presentation you can make on both of them, and I'm going to open up the items at the same time, both of them, because they're expedited items and they're in a group.
Only if you request the PowerPoint presentation will you get it.
Do you guys want a PowerPoint presentation?
No, thank you.
So we can dispose of the PowerPoint presentation. I'll open it to the public. Is there anyone in the public here that wants to make a comment on any of these items? We do have to open it to the public. May I remind everybody, consent means they're approved if they stay on the consent agenda. If you ask to talk about it, I may have to open the item and discuss it. Nobody? Going once, going twice? Nobody? I'm bringing it back to the board for their
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve as presented.
Second.
motion and second to approve two expedited rezoning from the rezoning calendar as presented. Well, there's no discussion. All those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Nobody opposed it. So it goes through, and then we have regular public hearing items, which will make the staff will make a full presentation and issue the following items, followed by separate discussion, public hearing, and action by the Board of Supervisors. We already discussed item number 2. That was the item we had, the bike path item. So what we've got left is a public hearing on rezoning case number 2104, Arturo Garcia, agent for Vision Assets, LLC, requests the rezoning of parcel 13.96 gross acres in size from rural area 10-acre minimum to rural area 5-acre minimum. Assessors parcel number 765-22-004, located at 3453 East County 18.5 Street, Yuma, Arizona, located in the 70 to 74 decibel noise zone. There will be a PowerPoint presentation by staff, followed by discussion by BO's members. I'll open it to the public hearing, and then we'll proceed. So go ahead, Mr. Rubio.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Javier Barraza, Senior Planner.
Oh, Barraza, sorry, I got you.
It's okay.
You don't look alike, but.
Yeah, it's the next presentation. Hearing. Once I get the. I can't read. Yes, that's the one. Presenting rezoning case number 21-04. The intent is to allow to split the subject property into 2 new parcels. This is the vicinity and zoning map showing the subject parcel number 4, cross-hatching highlighted in red. It's improved with a site build, accessory, and pool. It's accessed along the North Villa County 18.5 Street, which is the gravel road, and along Avenue 3.5E on the east, which is the dirt road. Parcel on the north is in ag production, zone RA10. Parcel 7 and 6 on the west are zone rural area 5-acre minimum, improved with site build and manufactured homes. Parcel number 2 on the south is desert terrain mainly, and is the location of a well drilling business. Parcels 1, 6, and 7 to the east are zone rural area 10-acre minimum, improved with structures and residences. And on the northeast, we have the Pioneer Rancheros Unit 1. This subdivision was recorded in 1972. It has different zonings, RA5, suburban site built 2-acre minimum, suburban ranch 2-acre, and planned development. The property is also under the 70-74 decibel noise zone of the auxiliary 2. And this is the site plan provided by the applicant. Parcel A will keep all the current structures, and parcel B will be 5.32 gross acres in size. This is an aerial view showing the subject parcel outlined in the red rectangle, showing the character of the area. This is a view looking southwest from the northeast corner. Now looking west-northwest from the southeast corner. Sorry. I received the following comments and correspondence. MCAS not an objection of this request. Arizona Game and Fish recommends following recommendations to lessen impacts on the flat-tailed horned lizard. 1 letter in opposition from resident within the notification area, just against the extra activity that this proposal is going to bring. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommends approval of rezoning case 21-04. Staff concurs with that recommendation, subject to the following performance condition. Within 60 days of approval by the board, the owner shall provide an ARS 12-1134 waiver and record the following. an infrastructure disclosure statement, aviation disclosure statement, range disclosure statement, and schedule for development disclosure statement. Also, the following is scheduled for development within 1 year of the board's approval. The property shall be split by means of a land division permit in accordance with section 507 of the Yuma County zoning ordinance. Mr. Chairman, this concludes staff's presentation, and the agent is present.
Right. Are there any questions to the staff on these two particular items before I open it to the public? If there are none, and we'll get to the public, I do have one speaker form. Oh, well, the letter is there, but the speaker form to speak at the public hearing is from Antonio Martinez, which I suppose is the gentleman in the back there, representing MCAS Yuma. So, Mr. Martinez? And I think your item was 2104, not 2127. There's two items in there, 2127 and 2104.
Okay. Yes, sir. Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, board, members of the board. My name is Antonio Martinez. I'm representing Marine Corps Air Station Yuma. And we're here just to basically establish on the record that we do not oppose to this rezoning. And mainly because we are following the guidelines of the 2019 ACUS study, the Air Installations Compatible Use Zones, which established new guidelines for these zones. Those guidelines have been proposed to Yuma County for your adoption. So it's been submitted, and it's also been submitted through the 2030 comprehensive plan. So we can make those changes in the guidelines for Yuma County, and so they can mirror our guidelines as well. So.
Plan that wasn't approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission? The 2030 one, right?
Right there. It's
Okay,
been submitted through there. But on the sideline, it's also being submitted as just the 2019 ACUS, so it doesn't need to be on one to be approved.
Right, got it. So, thank you. Are there any questions from Mr. Martinez? No, thank you, Mr. Martinez, for putting the position of the MCAS on record. I do want to mention that Mr. James Irwin sent a letter of opposition in 2104, basically stating that he'd like to have the distance between him and other people, that he move out in the county because he wanted that distance and that this brings development pretty close to him. At least that's the tone of the letter. Okay, I do want to put that on the record. Anybody else in the public that wants to address the board on this? Mr. Martinez, no Martinez, Garcia, Arturo? Do you want to say anything? No? Wise man. Right, no, it's fine. Yeah, all right. Does anybody have any questions from anyone in the public? If not, I'll turn this case back into, or both cases back into the Board of Supervisors' hands. Do I hear a motion to approve both, or?
Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve as presented. Second.
There's been a motion, a second, to approve items 1 and 2 of the regular public hearing items. Wait a minute, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the public hearing on rezoning case number 2104. Excuse me. Sorry, I leaned back, went back. So this is on public rezoning case number 2104. There's been a motion, a second, to approve as presented, as recommended by the Planning and Zoning Commission. Anybody has any comments? If not, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
If anybody has any opposition? No? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much, everyone, for your patience. I know it took a long time to get here, but we did it as fast as possible. Thank you very much, and we will move on to discussion regarding legislative issues, which is discussion and possible action regarding state and federal legislative updates, which may include international issues, status of bills, impact Yuma County, timelines, and composition of the legislatures, redistricting and legislative strategies and priorities. Boy, you guys cover everything, didn't you? Presentation and discussion regarding Yuma County 2022 federal legislative priorities, and approve Yuma County's 2022 federal legislative priorities for the NACO Legislative Conference to be held February 12, 2022. You're likely to give a PowerPoint presentation. You're going to give a PowerPoint presentation, Alejandro Figueroa.
Yes, Chairman, good morning, members of the board. I'll present to you first about the 2022 federal legislative priorities. But this is, the first one is the continued funding of payment on lieu of taxes, the PILT. You didn't have any comments on this last time. I'm wondering if you do on this occasion.
I don't think so. Let's go through the presentation and then talk
Okay.
about scheduling, because it seems to me like we keep getting this, we can't go visit them at Thursday, and they may not be in on session kind of thing. So it's probably going to get to the end of the presentation. We'll probably talk about the priorities, and then we'll talk about how we're going to address them, either by physically present or by Zoom, which has become the mode now.
Yeah.
So go ahead and talk about it. I do want to make a point that I do need to include somewhere in there some of the current, the state legislatures in session, and they're moving pretty fast. And I'm getting tests asking for support in some bills or other. So you need to open up that item to state. It seems like you deal well with, he says legislatures, redistricting and legislative strategies and priorities. It's not just the federal, right? Okay, all right, continue.
So Yuma County urges Congress to appropriate full and permanent funding for the PILT. Some progress has been made by NACO, but they haven't managed to get Congress to fully, permanently fund the PILT.
As a comment before you leave, it is because it doesn't impact everyone the same way. The PILT is really important for the western states, for all those states that have a lot of federal land, but it isn't really a top priority for states that are pretty well, small little states like Connecticut or something where their land base is so small, they really don't care. And this is a country that's made up of many different states that do different things for different reasons. PILT is not a top priority because it doesn't seem to impact everyone the same way, and there isn't the same, it's a fight every time. It's a fight that's won every time, but it's a fight that you never know how it's going to turn out. Hopefully, we'll continue to get some support for it, and it will continue to be that. But we will continue to insist that this should become not a seasonal, or not what I would call it, not a recurring, is the word I'm searching for, not a recurring fight for it, but it should be something that's acknowledged by everyone in the country, that there are sections of the country that have, like Yuma, that has only 11 or 12% private land, and the rest of it is federal. So it's very difficult to fund, when you're based on taxes, to fund your general budget when you don't have taxes from 90% of your land mass. All right.
Exactly. And NACO is including this as part of their 2022 priorities as well. Moving on to SCAP, Yuma County urges Congress to fully reimburse states, counties, and cities for the cost of housing criminal aliens. And I would like to thank both the county attorney's office and the sheriff departments for their support and going through the talking points and helping us polishing them up a little bit. So, and I don't know if you want me to go through the talking points. It's kind of a lengthy one.
No.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Question from
not necessarily a question, but I also had this conversation with Secretary Mayorkas to make sure that this was taken care of, and drove that point home, and he understood it and said he was going to work to get that taken care of.
Thanks.
Third one is enacting federal legislation restoring health benefits to pretrial individuals. So we reached out to NACO, and they give us the latest bills that are now related to this matter, which are Senate Bill 2697, the Due Process Continuity of Care Act, and the HR 955, the Medicaid Reentry Act of 2021, to support healthcare equity for pretrial justice-involved individuals.
I think it's misconstrued by the general public. The general public thinks we shouldn't treat prisoners, the way we treat normal people. They don't understand the cost of healthcare. It just comes to them anyway. It just comes to them directly to the county as opposed to federally. And what we're talking about here is mostly federal inmates that are there because of a federal violation of the law. And so we end up paying for that, regardless of whether people think we should treat these people as criminals. In the process, we end up paying for some medical bills that should be covered by the entity that creates the law that we're trying to implement. At least that's my spiel. I think.
Moving on. Yuma County is requesting federal funding for the permanent relocation of the Yuma County Fairgrounds to ensure Marine Corps Station Yuma can continue to meet its operations and training objectives. And I would like to thank Mary Ellen Finch for helping me with some of those numbers, the data that we have. It's completely up to date.
Again, just as a summary, we're talking about moving the freight grounds from the actual, what do we call it, runway of the
Clear
air,
zone.
to clear them out of there. I mean, I think it's one of the wisest moves we have made in a long time. Why wait until something happens? You put people in there, you put thousands of people in the pathway of planes. It impacts the way that the MCAs operate, it impacts the way the airport operates, and it's creating a public, which could become a very difficult public situation, public liability issue
Well,
that I
and
think.
WTI always falls during the fair, which is that and another one are the two biggest events.
I think we talked a lot about encroachment, in terms of the development of land around the airport, but our biggest problem is that it's already there. And it's in a high numbers, and it's really risky, and it's something that we need to have the federal, federal government address.
Somebody else has got it.
Right.
And the fifth and last one, it's Yuma County urges the U.S. Senate to take up agricultural labor reform legislation as a means of improving the H-2A farm worker program. And this, we reached out to the Farm Bureau of Yuma, Farm Bureau of Arizona, and they support the two talking points we have here as a priority for Yuma County.
Well, there are a couple of things that that I think we ought to focus on that are easier to achieve than trying to get reform. Because reform, as Senator Graham would say, it's not going to happen given the current conditions of the Senate. So two things we need to focus on. One is, why is the quota for H-2s or is it H-1? H-2As, shared by the dairy industry. The dairy industry's numbers are not comparable to the agricultural numbers that we deal with here. So having that be 50-50, it's not, I know. I'm just making the point. It is not something that makes any common sense. What makes common sense is to try to put not a cap on the permits, but actually figure out how much they're needed and where they're needed and make them available. Instead of putting a quota on it, they should understand that when we may not need them in the summer, but we will certainly need them in the winter. So it ebbs and flows, or it flows in different ways, and I don't think that this is acknowledging that, and it's going to be difficult because I think that anything that we try to put into reform, immigration reform, is not going to go anywhere. We need to work our way through the agricultural industry to make sure they understand just how critical that is to Yuma County and why it just can't depend on, whatever needs of other entities or other, industries. Other industries would need. I mean, they need to reflect what the needs are.
Everybody drinks milk. Not everybody eats vegetables.
I don't drink milk.
I don't
Well,
either.
I don't drink much milk. I eat a lot of it, vegetables. But anyway, the point
I
is,
don't drink milk and I eat lots of vegetables.
I knew we shouldn't get into this argument. Move on, will you?
Mr. Chairman, those are the five legislative priorities for Yuma County. I would like to ask
remove the cap.
The board to take action on this.
How do we take action on this? Do we just pass a resolution urging the Senate? Do we do it through a letter?
You would take a vote to approve the priorities as presented, and then we would present those to our federal delegation.
Get to how we present it to them. Right now, it's just a matter of supporting it, right?
These are the ones that we want to do.
Okay, so we will adopt the legislative priorities as presented and approve the federal legislative priorities for the NACO. Well, it wouldn't be for the NACO. It would be for our Congress, right?
Yes, for our county.
Just the federal priorities.
All right. Okay. So
Mr.
do I
Chairman,
hear a
I'd like to
motion
make
to approve?
motion that we approve the presentation as presented forward to our federal delegation.
The federal priorities.
Federal
Legislative
priorities. What did I say?
Presentation.
The presentation of the federal priorities.
So there's a motion to approve the federal priorities, presentation of federal priorities. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there, oh, okay, was there a discussion on this item? If not, all those,
Just-
okay, we'll go ahead.
Just before you,
We
we
vote.
vote on it, I just want to make a comment on, you know, like, every year when we go to NACO up in DC, it seems like when we visit the hills, I mean, that place is just, it's hectic. I mean, we go and see them and talk to them and leave them a package, but, you know, just imagine how many other agencies
at the same time.
do the same thing at the same time. And I know other cities, because, you know, well, actually, cities do it during the National League of Cities, and they also do the same thing. So a lot of cities actually send a couple of the council, mayor and council, or different, you know, at different dates, not when it's so hectic.
To your point,
To my point.
specifically when they're in session, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you know, kind of sending, maybe, I don't know, just something for the board to think, and maybe sending someone out, you know, someone.
To your point, I think that we need to stop doing the NACO thing as the only thing we do. We need to do two things. One is we need to hire someone to do it all the time instead of just, you know, every once in a while, and have that person coordinate a trip just by the Board of Supervisor members who can attend the trip and put our issues in front of those legislators when they're in session and when you can actually talk to them. I know the staff does most of the work, but they do it under the direction of the members. And it's very difficult to get enough time when you're there with 24 different, you know, members of different boards from throughout the state. So we need to start separating our lobbying, you know, activities from our legislative activities at NACO. I understand that's the way we've done it for a lot of years, but it's getting to a point now where you just want boys in the middle of 30 or 40 people who visit them that day. They are now getting into a point where they have breakfast for a lot of people. They don't even meet you separately. They have breakfast for you so that you get a chance, you and 12 more or 15 more or 20 more, you get a chance to fight for some time for them to hear your issues. That is not a very effective situation. And I think because of COVID, we really weren't focused on that. But I think that now that it's starting to ease off a little bit, we should start looking at either, like I said, hiring someone to work for us part-time, if you want to call it, just to represent our issues all the time, and someone, or in this particular case, have Alejandro start coordinating a trip just for us to visit our representatives at a specific time and date that doesn't match everybody else's. Is that?
Works better for me.
I was for it.
Okay, all right, I'm just, those two attorneys are looking at me like you're getting off the subject or something, so I better move on. But the point is being made that we need to focus on that. Now, Bill looks at me all the time like, okay.
Let's
So,
see, are
Bill,
you on
we're
cam-
moving on. We got a motion here to approve it. Did we approve it? No? Yeah, we got a motion, a second to approve it, then he made some comments, and then I took on those comments and made more comments on it. So all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries and
What was
heed
it
the
we were
advice.
approving?
Okay, so what was the motion? No, I'm just kidding. So now let me focus a little bit on a couple of local issues. I just had a text from Lisa Tondo, our legislator at the legislature. She's asking for us to support she said House Bill 2651 and Senate Bill 1490, which are based on, which are supposed to help the city of San Luis and everybody in South County to make improvements connecting the 195 with the city of San Luis. It's become a major issue to get to San Luis anytime between 3 and 6 in the afternoon. On both sides, there's only two ways to get to San Luis. One is 195 and the old Highway 95. The old Highway 95 is a county road. The 195, it's a state road. So our legislators are asking for us to support a bill that would fund the widening of 195 into a 4-lane highway. But so they're asking for our support on those two bills as fast as possible. So what I would do is probably ask the board to support writing them a letter immediately, you know, sending it to the Senate and the House, saying that all board of supervisors, all supervisors support the bills as stated.
Now, is that just that area from Avenue B into San Luis?
Well, I think it's Avenue B, no, it's a little further up. I think it's Avenue E all the way to San Luis.
Okay.
Because that's when it narrows into a 2-lane road and it just becomes a bottleneck.
Yeah.
Chairman, if I may, it's Senate Bill 1490, sponsored by Senator Atondo and co-sponsored by Senator Kerr. That's exactly the same bill that Representative Fernandez sponsored at the House, which is HB 2651, which was co-sponsored by Representatives Dunn, John, and Osborne. Both of the bills appropriate $33 million from the general fund in fiscal year 2022-2023 to the Department of Transportation to distribute to Yuma County for construction, widening, repairing, and upgrading of the Cesar Chavez Boulevard in the city of San Luis. SB 1490 will be heard by the Senate Appropriations Committee tomorrow, Tuesday, the 8th at 2 p.m. It is worth noting that both Senators Atondo and Kerr are members of this committee. While HB 2651 will be heard at the House Transportation Committee this Wednesday, February the 9th at 2 p.m. Representative Fernandez is a member of this committee.
Okay, so the idea is how do we show our support without all of us going out there and testifying? Or if anybody is available to go out.
Request to speak, the request to speak, say it again.
Yeah, the AC. If we go to the website, into the legislature's website, there is the request to speak system where each of us or the board can go in and just show their support.
Can't we just draft a letter that has all of our signatures?
That's what I was gonna ask. Can we just simply draft a letter, send it, and anyone can, anyone can call in and basically testify remotely? I think that's the way we do it. Anybody can come in, call in and testify, ask to testify. But I think a letter from all of us at the same time, signed by us today, would probably do the same thing. It's just,
And sent to
obviously, it's
all of
better
the
aggressively, but
members?
Yes.
yeah,
And
it would
sent
be
to
by the
all the
board of
members.
supervisors.
Mhm.
So do I hear a motion to that effect?
Yes.
Yes means yes.
Second.
The motion,
Second.
there's a second here from Supervisor Porches. I heard Supervisor Porches before.
Oh, okay, good.
So there's been a motion by Supervisor Lyons and Supervisor Porches to draft a letter signed of support for House Bill 2651 and Senate Bill 1490 to be drafted today and signed and sent before the hearings take place tomorrow and the day after. Is that correct? Any discussion on the item? If not, all those in favor of the item signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. What else you got?
Representative Dunn's HB 2396, known as the Rural Transportation Package, that includes more than $6.5 million for the U.S. Route 95 improvements, passed the House Transportation Committee vote and is waiting to be voted on by the Appropriations and Rules Committee.
This would be the Highway 95 that goes to Quartzsite?
Yes, but it's an extension from the
Rifle Range
Rifle
Road.
Range Road
Yes.
to the Dome Valley exit.
Oh, okay. All right.
Agree.
So the CSA is asking all counties to sign in their opposition to both HB 2541 and SB 1381. HB 2541 will be heard today in the House Military Affairs and Public Safety Committee at 2 p.m. and tomorrow as SB 1381 in the Senate Appropriations Committee at 2 p.m. Once again, it is worth noting that both Senators Atondo and Kerr are members of this committee. Both bills would set the starting salary for a deputy sheriff to not less than 5% below the average starting salary of officers in the two highest paying law enforcement agencies in the county, which would include DPS. For detention officers, it links county salaries to no less than 10% lower than the average starting salaries of the three highest paying detention facilities in the state and the Department of Corrections. The attached spreadsheet attempts to quantify the change to a starting salary based on the available information and using the governor's recommended increase for DPS and DOC officers. The bill undermines the role of the Board of Supervisors, who are accountable to the taxpayer for balancing the local tax burden with local public expenditures. Local salaries should be part of a collaborative, informed process at the local level and not determined by state law. This policy takes away the flexibility at the local level to identify and deploy resources to most effectively address retention recruitment challenges.
I think the purpose is to set a base, but the problem is that when the governor increases DPS salary with money from outside, and then we have to increase the salary for money from inside, we end up dealing with an issue that we weren't expecting. I mean, if you look at that chart, you will see that Yuma County is one of the top three, I think, salaries, current starting salary for deputy sheriffs, which is by an effort of the board and the county sheriff coming in and making his presentation. That I think to agree, but just setting a bottom for everyone in the state without consider La Paz County, for example. La Paz County, their budget may not be able to take it. It's not. I don't understand. The state keeps trying to kind of self-manage, but at the same time want to manage everybody in the state. And it's a mistake. Every county is different. I think county boards of supervisors have a tendency to react to local situations much better. Case in point, the county, Yuma County, is surrounded not just by DPS and not just by the corrections officer. We've got Border Patrol. We've got Homeland Security people, Immigration and Customs people, DEA. We've got, we got a myriad of law enforcement agencies. If we were to start comparing and trying to match, we'd end up in a race that we can't win. It's just impossible to win that race. Every time we raise our salaries, they raise theirs. It's not attainable. It's got to be done by people in the local jurisdictions that know what to do. I know that the state is trying to set a bottom, but that's not going to impact us as much as other counties where.
That's right. Mr. Chair,
Yes.
CSA, the legislative group voted to oppose these bills because you have Greenlee and Graham and all these others that Apache they don't have the budget for it. And they're at the limit of what they can increase their budgets to. So it wouldn't impact Yuma as much as it would the smaller counties, and it also takes away local control.
Chairman?
Yes, Mr.
But
I'm kind of caught in the middle with this because being law enforcement. I understand DPS, they want to raise DPS's funding and their salaries because they do a hard job. But 15% is a huge increase.
Yeah.
One. And the parity is gonna trickle down to the counties as far as making us either raise our funding to counter it, or we're gonna lose officers because they're definitely gonna go to where there's higher pay. I mean, it's nature of the beast nowadays. That, and my question is, if they're wanting to raise 15%, where are they going to get this money other than HERF, where they always pull it from, which in turn is going to take away from our money as well? I think the legislature really needs to take a hard look at this much of a pay hike for DPS and realize what the trickle down effect is going to be.
Well,
it's gonna cost us money in trying to raise salaries to keep our good officers in the county, and it's also gonna, I don't see them getting anywhere else but from HERF.
Well, I see it I could see where they can get it right now. The problem is right now isn't really where we will be. Right now, it's a flush situation. We've got too much money, and the state is willing to pay for it now just to be good and to be good to everyone. But the problem is, this is not going to be raising salaries is something that you can't push back on.
That's right.
It
Once
really
you've done
becomes
it,
an
you're
issue.
done.
And to me, there was a conservative viewpoint that was
Mr. Chairman, you
present in
sound
the
like
past.
a fiscal conservative.
I happen to be one, just hiding under something else. But the problem is, well, sorry, you just have to make the point. But when you've been around a long time, you know what that does. Salaries are the most difficult thing to manage when you're a county supervisor because there's so undue pressure, especially on us, especially on law enforcement, to be able to keep up with agencies we can't keep up with. The federal government has a different source of money that we do. And I think that the state is sort of flush with money right now. So they're trying to sort of get to everybody and have everybody share on it. That I understand that. The problem is what happens 2 or 3 years down the road when those monies aren't available. We have to come up with it and we have to tax our taxpayers to get them. And so that's why I think we should just take the position, look, guys, while there's some of us who can handle it right now, or some of you who can handle it right now, there are others who can't. I mean, and you need to take a look at this and look at it as a local issue. If you want to raise salaries for DPS, well, do it. Do it yourself, but don't make it a bill that we all have to follow. Well, anyway, that was my spiel. Yes, I am.
Mr. Chairman, I agree with you.
Yeah, and
Thank
Mr.
you very
Chairman, I
much.
talked to the sheriff
Mhm.
concerning this. I texted him, he texted me back. He said the reason that he is supporting it is because they're losing officers to, they will lose officers to
anyway.
DPS. And so, you know, and that's an issue we had. That's part of the reason we raised our salaries for our sheriff deputies before, is because we were losing them to the city of Yuma, so.
Or to someone else, because it's always, you know, if there anybody's in a difficult position, it's places like Tucson and places near the border where the concentration of law enforcement is quite high. In places like Yuma, it's even more difficult because it's,
More
you know, it's
agencies.
more agencies at the same time. I mean, we got FBI agents, we got all kinds of agents up here. I
Mhm.
think Yuma County is probably one of those places where if you don't see law enforcement, you're blind. But if you look around, you'll see all these vehicles out there with antennas and stuff, and there's just so much law enforcement here. But anyway, the bottom line is this is a bill that is trying to fix a problem that isn't there. And it's a problem that some of the smaller counties don't want fixed. It's their deal, their issue to deal with that. And if they want to deal with DPS, I can understand how a sheriff would support it in terms of, you know, everybody else gets lifted up. But in case of Yuma County, I think, I don't think it's the best place, but I think it's pretty close to one of the highest. It's, I think, the third highest. If I see only Pima and Pinal pay them more starting salary than Yuma County, and I can understand why. And I can understand the sheriff coming in every year and saying, look, guys, we're losing the race. I can understand that. But that's a problem that we can deal with, and every county should be able to deal with on their own. It is not something that I think you can legislate and work well.
I agree.
Well, and kind of the only drawback I see to not supporting this is the fact that if we don't, we're not sending the message to the state that, you know, you keep raising these, you know, salaries for state law enforcement. This is what you're doing to the counties.
Yeah.
So I think you need to send the message that 15% is unrealistic and
It is.
and causes problems for every city and county across the
Chairman?
state.
I suppose, and I believe that I've had this conversation with state law enforcement, they're in the same position of losing people who lateral to different agencies based upon their experience with DPS. So
Mhm.
it's the same
It's the same
cyclical problem all the way around for all law enforcement.
I don't have any problem with them raising the DPS
Yeah.
salary.
Mhm.
It's,
Yeah.
this bill raises everybody's salary everywhere in the state. And that is one of those fix-all type situations that end up blowing up in your face later on. And I feel like it's not responsible. It's irresponsible to think that people in Navajo County can raise their salaries to match, you know, somebody like Pima. It's just not feasible to me to support.
Mr.
that.
Chairman, the County Managers Association spoke about this as well. There are several different elements that on the surface, it's just, okay, let's just put a cap or a floor on salaries for sheriffs, deputies, and detention officers. And that sounds okay, except this is the state dictating what local salaries will be. They could also start dictating every other operation of the sheriff's office or of other county operations. It's also not just for sheriff's deputies. Once you raise the deputies, then the sergeants, the lieutenants, the captain, everybody has to move up because of compression.
Wage
so that
compression.
it's you're multiplying the cost way, 3-4 times what it's shown as, plus all the benefits that we would be required. The other piece of it is the expenditure limit the counties are facing.
Yes.
There are some that are already at their expenditure limit. If you
Mhm.
add this expense, they have to
There
cut
you go.
expenses somewhere else, which means cutting other positions if they can't address, or they could even cut sheriff's positions because they can't afford the salaries.
Because of the caps.
We're actually starting to creep up on our expenditure limit because of what's happened with the population. So that's a real concern for a number of counties, and it could be a concern in the future for Yuma County. So if we're up against our expenditure limit, we're having this multiplier effect for all positions across
Right.
the sheriff's office and in detention, that's going to then affect all of our other positions.
Right.
So our costs are just going to multiply.
Okay, so understanding where we're at, we're saying, look, it's not that we don't support increases on sheriff's salary, deputy sheriffs and sheriff salaries, or correction officers, is that we find ourselves in a very difficult position to support such a move when other counties of lesser size and so forth would not be able to handle it. So what we would like to do is state that we're in support, but that they need to be considered on an individual basis.
Mr. Chairman?
Right, one at a
Local
time.
control.
You first and then you go next.
To your point, counties, for example, like La Paz, who've had a difficult time with their budgets in and of themselves, to then be mandated to do something when they already aren't meeting their financial obligations would compound the issue that much more.
In other words, I don't think we can just take a position against it. I think we just need to take a position. You know, we support the effort, but we don't support the way it's being done.
Well, we
Well-
support the effort, but not the bill.
You know, and another thing I'm trying to bring to the point though is 15% is a huge pay hike in one shot for a raise. I don't know any business that will turn around and give somebody 15% across the board all of a sudden. And that is what's going to hurt us is that much of, you know, I'm not saying DPS doesn't need a pay hike. It's just 15% is a large chunk of change, whether it's coming from her for the state budget. It's still us paying for it.
Okay, all right.
Mr.
So
Chair,
we all
and
agree.
Darren, not only that, but PSPRS is having a hard time with its retirements as it is. If those DPS officers are in PSPRS, when they go to retire, that's going to make a huge hit on
It's gonna, yeah, it has a trickle down effect.
PSPRS retirement budget, which is not as, I mean, it's rebounding, but it's not in good shape as it is.
Not as
So,
robust as it needs to be.
There you go.
Right, so what we agreed here is that, what? That we're going to vote against it, or that we're going to send the comments, or what do we agreed on? I mean, we seem to think that it's sort of like, okay, we don't care if it happens at the state level. We do, but we just don't like it if it happens at the county level.
Mr. Chairman, this is just a recommendation by the CSA to call our senators.
So what they want is just our support?
No, to oppose it.
Oppose it.
Oh, I mean, I'm talking CSA. They want
They
to
would
support
like us to
CSA's
oppose it,
position, is
yes.
what I'm saying.
Taking away local control.
Right, well, I mean, do we have to vote on it? Because if we vote on it, you may have a difficulty here. No, we don't? We just simply say, okay,
Part of my presentation to you and an update and you.
move on then.
Okay.
We got a executive session ready to go, legal one, so.
Lastly, on the federal side, the U.S. House of Representatives passed the America Competes Act last week. This piece of legislation addresses microchip shortages and supply chain backlogs by providing $52 billion in grants and subsidies to help the semiconductor industry and $45 billion to enhance supply chains for high-tech products. The bill aims to revitalize U.S. research, innovation, and manufacturing sectors in an effort to boost America's competitiveness with China. Lawmakers approved the measure in a 222 to 210 vote, and it is now on its way to the U.S. Senate. And that will conclude, Mr. Chairman, my presentation today.
Next one will be more localized. This one is really facing the federal thing because we're all gonna, I mean, some of us are gonna be out there and so the question that I left to the end was the scheduling. It's still a sort of like, some are go and some are not. Most of them are not. They're not gonna be there. They would like to meet with us over the phone or over the video, whatever, Zoom or whatever system they use. So, because I think that the issue here of the NACO meeting is that it tends to focus on those visits as opposed to focusing on issues that pertain to counties everywhere. I think that should be the focus now. It should focus on what are other counties doing, what's going on, how they're using their money, how they're dealing with their problems. That is supposed to be the focus of a conference for any organization. The problem is we've made it so much about the visit, the Hill visits, that right now the question is, why are we already going, right? Well, we're going because we'd like to reconnect with some of these issues and see how people are solving their issues. And sometimes we help by giving our side of the story. There are so many issues that pertain to counties nationwide that I think we need to remember that when we go to a conference and that we're going there to share and to either get or give support. Right, and based on the comments that Supervisor Porteous made, I think we need to start looking at what are the ways we can do to have an impact at the legislative level that doesn't mean going in like a herd, to be heard. So we're gonna look at that a little further ahead, and I think we're gonna require your help to do that. As of now, does any federal legislator, has any federal legislator agreed to see us when we're there?
We just, as far as I'm concerned, and with the help of Desiree, we managed to secure one in-person meeting on the 16th. Now, this was not with a Congress member. It was not even with the with a high-level member or staffer. So most of them are not responding or asking for us to meet with them virtually.
Well, most of them are not in Congress.
Two in person, okay. I will defer to Desiree if she wants to.
So which one?
So we have a meeting with Congressman Andy Biggs, legislative assistant in person, and then Congressman Paul Gosar's legislative director, Rory Burke. And those are the two in person. And then the following week on the 22nd, we have two Zoom meetings set up, one with Congressman Gallegos, policy staffer, and then one with Congressman Stanton.
All right. So as of the 9-member delegation, or 11 with 2 senators, we have basically secured 2 meetings in person for the 16th and 2 meetings by Zoom on the 22nd, right? That's why I think your idea of actually doing something a little bit off the beaten path makes more sense as we talk about it. And when we go through the budget process, Supervisor, we can talk about this a little more at length and whether there's a need to actually increase our presence, or whether it's in person or by phone, as it's now more normal. We need to keep in touch with those congressmen and senators a little bit more than we're doing right now, because I think, well, this is an election year, so they're going to be paying attention, I hope. But that makes more sense to me now than ever. I mean, in the past, I thought we had a lobbyist actually in the past. We just simply decided that it would be better to have someone on staff, which is true. It would be better to have someone on staff. But that's not going to replace the fact that we need to have some one-on-one meetings with our legislators and make sure that they understand our problems, no matter where they're from or which area of the state they represent. We're talking about representatives. Senators, I think, have a tendency to look at the state as a whole, but a congressman tend to look at their areas first, which is normal. I mean, they're elected to represent those areas. But I think a lot of the congressmen that are not from this area understand the border. They just understand the border wrongly, as far as I'm concerned. All this focus in immigration takes away the fact that we're trading partners with Mexico, that we have a lot of stuff that happens that is beneficial to the state as a whole, not just migrants trying to come in through, sections of the wall. So we need to start changing that perception. I mean, we got to stop talking about the border as a problematic area and talk about it as an opportunity area. And so we need to start looking at empowerment zones, enterprise zones, those kind of foreign trade zones. We need to start looking at some of those issues that are getting us away from just this constant driving situation that paints us as always a problematic area for the rest of the country. We do.
Chairman, if I may. Just to let you and the board know that I hold monthly meetings with all the economic development stakeholders across the county, and I include both our congressional staff members and our senators, Senate staff members as well, in that call. And they hear from the issues happening in Yuma County, and they have the opportunity to update the group on what's going on.
I do not want to pontificate any further, so we're going to stop right there. You guys have any comments, any questions from Alejandro? All right, Alejandro, we'll be in touch within the next days. I mean, who you're going to Washington? Friday?
No, I canceled.
You canceled? All right. Well, whomever is going to Washington, we need to get that packet that, gets the positions and everything written up, and whatever we're going to do, we'll do. Okay? All right. That should take care of this part of the presentation. I do want to try to get you guys out for lunch at lunchtime. So I'm going to ask that your presentation regarding current or future meetings to be attended be kept short. So Lynn, you're first.
I will be very quick. Okay. I went to the GYEDC virtual lunch. I went to the provider meetings for Arizona at Work. I attended CSA virtual legislative policy committee meetings, 2 of them. I went to the Yuma Chamber Legislative Affairs Committee, and in that We had 5 of our 6 legislators who spoke with us. It was good. So, anyway, done. See, I can be quick.
Supervisor Lyons.
CSA, GYDC, and most notable, sit down with the mayor, with Secretary Mayorkas.
Mm-hmm.
Supervisor Simmons?
Medium County Caucus, CSA, YPG compatible use study, Mohawk Irrigation District Board meeting, Walton Town Council meeting, and then I was out of town for a week in Baltimore, freezing my butt off.
Supervisor Borges?
I attended CSA. Pretty much that's it.
No, Supervisor Porteous actually went on my instead at a groundbreaking ceremony
Actually, yeah,
for the
groundbreaking
school
for the
district,
school.
some of the school districts in San Luis.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little weird, but, I wanted to commend both the city of San Luis and Somerset in the way they're handling their COVID problem. They seem to be doing relatively well, and I think I'm gonna leave it at that. Administrator, Susan? Sorry.
Susan
That was
Thorpe,
quick.
County Administrator. Nice to meet you. In the interest of time, I don't.
Administrator Susan Thorpe.
Thank you.
That's it? All right. Well, we're going to go into executive session. I'm not sure we need to go upstairs in as much as we need to shut down the system here. So we don't go through the time and effort to go up there. I think we just need to remove everyone that shouldn't be here and shut down the TV screens, the TV signal for a while until we get back. We should be back in 15 to 20 minutes for those people who want to. We're not going to make a decision anyway. We're just going to get a report. And the item that we'll be discussing is consultation legal advice with the county attorney to consider our position, instruct attorneys regarding litigation in the matter of General Motors LLC against Yuma County. It will be an executive session and it's for legal advice, so we need to take it. Thank you very much, everyone, for your patience. We will, again, we will not make a decision when we get back, so this basically technically ends the public portion of this meeting.